Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Byju's IAS. Am I audible and visible? Am I audible and visible? That's fine. Yeah, am I audible and visible? Camera is too high, yaar. Baba. That thing. Yeah. Okay, all well, all good, good. Let's go. Let's start. Yeah. Today we'll be beginning with medieval Indian history. I finished ancient India yesterday. Today I will begin with medieval Indian history. Let me give you an overview of medieval Indian history. Before I begin, let me give you an overview. A bird's eye view of medieval Indian history, right? So medieval India, medieval Indian history, a period of 1,000 years, 800 to 1800, 8th century to the 18th century, which we divide for the sake of convenience into two parts: early medieval India and later medieval India. So this is a history of 1,000 years from the 8th century to the 18th century. We divide it into two parts: early medieval India and later medieval India. Yeah, good evening, everyone. Let's begin. I'm giving you an overview or a bird's eye view of medieval Indian history. What all are the subjects or topics we're going to study? What are the various topics we're going to study as part of medieval Indian history? So when we talk about early medieval Indian history, it is from 8th century, 800 to 1200 AD, 800 to 1200, and later medieval India is from 1300 till 1800. Right? So 8 to the 12th and 13 to the 18th century. Now, what are the various topics we study as part of early medieval India? So it is nearer to us compared to ancient Indian history. The early medieval India is nearer to us when compared to ancient Indian history. We have a number of sources for the reconstruction of the history of medieval India: literary sources, archaeological sources, coins, monuments, a number of buildings or monuments which were constructed in the medieval times. And of course, we have the accounts of foreign travelers. Many foreign travelers came visiting India during the medieval period. So we have copious amount of sources, plenty of sources for the reconstruction of the history of medieval India. So what are the topics we study as part of early medieval India? First of all, I'll be talking to you about Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya, Shankara, that is Adi Shankaracharya, and his philosophy of Advaita. So what are the contributions of Adi Shankaracharya and his philosophy of Advaita? Who was Shankaracharya? He was basically from Kerala, a place called Kaladi in Kerala. And at a very young age, he took up sannyas. He renounced the world or became a sannyasi. And he is supposed to have gone around the country 3 times. He went around India 3 times by foot, and he established 4 mutts in the 4 corners of India. And we have other contributions of Shankaracharya. He also propounded the philosophy of Advaita, or also called Kevala Advaita. He died at a very young age. He was just 32 years when he died. He has been, the last rites were performed at Kedarnath. So he was born at Kaladi in Kerala, and he died at Kedarnath at the age of 32 years. And in the short span of 32 years, he had a number of achievements to his credit. So we'll talk about the contributions of Shankaracharya, right? Then I'll be discussing about the Arab conquest of Sindh. In the year 712 AD, Arab conquest of Sindh. So in the year 712 AD, right here, in 712 AD, Arabs came and conquered Sindh. Sindh, which is now in Pakistan. They conquered Sindh and they ruled over Sindh for a few years. But then they lost interest over Sindh. So with great difficulty, they conquer Sindh. Then they rule over Sindh for some years, and then they lost interest in ruling over Sindh. What is the reason for they losing interest? We will discuss that. And then they abandoned Sindh and went away and never came back. What is the impact of the Arab conquest of Sindh on our history? So they ruled over a small part of India, Sindh, and what is the impact it had on our history, if at all it had any impact? So we'll be discussing about that, the Arab conquest of Sindh. So what are the circumstances which led to the Arabs conquering Sindh and the impact on our history and culture? Then third subtopic as part of early medieval India is the triangular conflict for Kannauj, or what is called tripartite conflict for Kannauj between three dynasties. So we have three dynasties: the Palas of Bengal, the Pratiharas of Madhya Pradesh, and the Rashtrakutas of Karnataka. So these three dynasties, the Palas of Bengal, they brought Eastern India under their control, the Palas, Bihar, Bengal, Orissa, etc. Then we have the Pratiharas, who had Madhya Pradesh as their base. They brought many parts of North and Central India under their control, the North, Central, and parts of Western India under their control, the Pratiharas of Madhya Pradesh, and the Rashtrakutas, who ruled over present-day Maharashtra, Karnataka, some parts of Gujarat, Central India, etc. So these three powerful dynasties, competed with each other, vied with each other for controlling Kannauj in UP. So if you remember yesterday's class, in the very first year of his reign, Harshavardhana had shifted the capital from Sthaneshwar in Haryana to Kannauj in UP. Now, by early medieval times, please understand, Patliputra had lost its position to Kannauj. We have discussed ancient India in detail, and when I did ancient India, we did the Magadhan Empire. The Magadhan kings had Patliputra as their capital. Initial capital was Rajagriha, and later the capital was shifted to Pataliputra. Now, whoever ruled from Patliputra in ancient India was considered to be the most powerful king of North and Central India. And so there was a prestige issue involved here, ruling from Patliputra. Because whoever ruled from Patliputra was considered to be a very, very powerful king, most powerful ruler of North and Central India. The Mauryas had Patliputra as their capital. Even the Guptas had Patliputra as their capital. But then in early medieval times, Patliputra had lost its importance. And Kannauj in UP had taken the place of Patliputra. Now, whoever ruled from Kannauj would be considered as the most powerful ruler of North and Central India. And we see here three powerful empires. So, three powerful dynasties, Palas, Pratiharas, Rashtrakutas, competing with each other for domination over Kannauj. So this is called the triangular conflict for Kannauj, or the tripartite conflict for Kannauj. Okay, so if I can draw a map like this, a small map. So here you have the Palas ruling over Eastern India. So this is the area ruled by the Palas. Then we have the Pratiharas ruling over North and Central India, West and Central India, the Pratiharas. So this is the area ruled by the Pratiharas. And then of course we have the Rashtrakutas who brought South India under their control. So three powerful empires fighting against each other for domination over Kannauj. If the Pratiharas defeated the Palas sometime later, the Palas would have defeated the Pratiharas. Similarly, the Rashtrakutas would have fought also against the Pratiharas and the Palas. Now, out of the three dynasties, the last to disintegrate and disappear were the Rashtrakutas. So they lasted for the longest period of time, the Rashtrakutas. So constant conflict, understand this. These three powerful empires brought political unity to India. So they ruled various parts of India, three powerful entities or empires, Palas, Pratiharas, Rashtrakutas. Constant conflict amongst these. So there are various reasons why they fought. Of course, one of the main reason was prestige of ruling from Kannauj. So there was a prestige issue ruling from Kannauj. Apart from that, there are other reasons. We'll discuss that. But then what happened? Constant conflict between these three dynasties weakened all of them. It weakened all of them because, as we have seen, war entails loss of men and material resources. So constant conflict led to weakening of all of them. The Palas were succeeded by the Senas. The Palas were succeeded by the Senas. So the Pala dynasty became weak, and then you have the Senas who succeeded the Palas. The Rashtrakutas were succeeded by the Kalyana Chalukyas. The Kalyana Chalukyas succeeded the Rashtrakutas. So once the Rashtrakuta Empire became weak, their feudatories, the feudatories under the Rashtrakutas, the Kalyana Chalukyas, asserted their independence. And then, of course, the Pratihara kingdom also collapsed. And in place of the Pratiharas in north and central India, we have very small kingdoms coming into existence. Small kingdoms came into existence, and these are the Rajputs. So in place of the Pratiharas, we have the political fragmentation of North India. So we have various Rajput kingdoms coming into existence. So the next chapter in your next topic in early medieval Indian history is the Rajputs, the age of Rajputs. So age of Rajputs. Till now, have you understood? Yeah. Yes. So Palas were succeeded by the Senas. So till now, are you clear? So here, please understand, early medieval India is mostly factual. Understand this? Early medieval India is factual. So, for example, when I discussed about the Palas, Pratiharas, Rashtrakutas, what are the things we are going to discuss? For example, you see, we'll be discussing about the important kings. For example, Rashtrakutas or Pratiharas or Palas. So, who was their founder? Who was the founder of the Rashtrakutas? Who was the founder of the Palas? Or who was the founder of the Pratihara kingdom? Important kings. Who were the important kings? Okay. Then the temples they built. If at all they built any temples, what are the temples built by them? What are the scholars patronized by them? Many scholars were patronized by these kings. Many of these scholars wrote many books, poems, dramas, etc. So which scholar was patronized by which king? What are the various books or works written by these scholars? Temples built by them. Then foreign travelers who came visiting these kingdoms. So travelers who came to these kingdoms. So which traveler visited the kingdom of which king of belonging to which dynasty? For example, Sulaiman. So you have an Arab traveler called Sulaiman who visited the court of the Rashtrakuta king Amogavarsha. And Sulaiman gives information about the Rashtrakuta kingdom. He calls Amogavarsha as one of the four great emperors of the world. So like that, you need to know which traveler came visiting which king, and he came during whose period. So this is what we discuss in early medieval India, mostly factual information and important wars fought by these dynasties. Important wars. Not everything is important, but important wars. So this is where this is pretty much what we discuss in early medieval India. Did you understand? Founder of these kingdoms, important kings, temples, scholars, travelers, wars, important wars, etc. Hyunsang, Itsing, I've told you, Ankush, yesterday, that is part of ancient India, isn't it? Fahian, Hyunsang, Itsing. These are all Chinese travelers who came to India during the ancient period. So here, this is what we're going to discuss as part of early medieval India. So I come back here. So we have the tripartite conflict for Kannauj between three dynasties: Palas, Pratiharas, Rashtrakutas. And on the ruins of the Pratiharas, we have in north and central India a number of Rajput dynasties, kingdoms which were established. We hear of 36 Rajput clans. There were 36 Rajput clans, like the Tomaras, the Kachagapatas, the Gahadwalas, the Sisodias, the Rathors. Then, of course, you have the the Paramaras, the Pratiharas. So there were about 36 Rajput kingdoms or clans. And of course, not all are important. We'll be discussing a few Rajput dynasties. Again, we go back to the same sort of discussion. Important Rajput dynasties or kingdoms, who was their founder, important kings, wars they fought, temples they built, scholars they patronized. Then, of course, if Ghazni, Mahmud Ghazni, had defeated a particular Rajput king, which Rajput ruler was defeated or killed by Mahmud Ghazni. Similarly, later you have another invader called Muhammad Ghori. So Muhammad Ghori was defeated by many Indian rulers. So on the same lines, which Rajput ruler defeated Muhammad Ghori? So which Ghazni defeated which Rajput king or killed which Rajput ruler, or Ghori defeated Ghori was defeated by which Rajput ruler? So this is the type of questions or discussion we'll be having. So age of Rajputs, we'll be talking about that. And please understand, the Rajputs were, of course, very brave people. So we will discuss about the origin of the Rajputs. We have some theories as to who these Rajputs were or who Rajputs could have been. So many historians give some theories. So we'll be discussing about that in brief. And of course, the important Rajput kingdoms. Now, please understand, Rajputs were busy fighting against each other. Rajputs kept on fighting against each other. War was a sport for them, like playing 2020 cricket. So always busy fighting against each other. They did not have political foresight. And the wealth of India attracted invaders. Invaders like Mahmud Ghazni. Invaders like Mahmud Ghazni. So we'll be discussing about Mahmud Ghazni. Okay, Mahmud Ghazni. So he was a person who was ruling from Ghazni in Afghanistan. Ghazni was his capital in Afghanistan, and his name was Mahmud. So attracted by the wealth of India, he began to raid into India from 1000 AD onwards. So in a span of 28 years, understand this, in a span of 28 years, that is from 1000 to 1028. Between 1000 to 1028, Mahmud raided into India 17 times. He raided into India how many times? 17 times. And Mahmud Ghazni made temples a target of his attack. He was not interested in conquering India or any part of India or spreading Islam in this country. He was not interested in that. He was only interested in the wealth of this country. And he used to time his attacks beautifully. After the harvest, in the winter season, after the harvest, in the winter season, he used to attack and attack temples, and he makes temples the target of his attack. So why temples, you might wonder, and why in the winter season? So here you have the scorching heat of North India. In summer, the temperature plummets. It's very very high. It's difficult to comfortably survive in the daytime in North India. So therefore, the heat was avoided, and more importantly, after the harvest. So the farmers all over India, this is the tradition. After working on the field for a few months, plowing the land, planting the seeds, tending to the crops, watering them, guarding those crops against wild animals or thieves, etc. And then the farmer, with great difficulty, he will harvest the crop, and then he will go to the nearby temple. That temple may be his family god or goddess. He'll go there, the most famous temple of that area, and in cash and kind, the farmers, thousands and lakhs of farmers, will make an offering of thanksgiving to the deity. So they will put money into the hundi or into the treasury of the temple, and also in kind they will make donations, thanking God for a bountiful harvest. So when thousands and lakhs of farmers go and make this offering in the temple, what will happen? The treasury will become full. So full of money, full of gold, silver, etc., and of course also in kind. And Mahmud knew this. So he will attack in the winter season after the harvest, and he makes temples a target of his attack. Mahmud never saw any defeat, throughout his career. So in a span of 28 years, he raided into India 17 times, and the last major attack on India happened in 1025. In 1025, he attacked Somnath temple. Somnath temple in Gujarat. He attacked Somnath temple in Gujarat. The king, Bhima the first, ran away. He was the contemporary king. The Solankis or the Chalukyas of Gujarat, they were ruling Gujarat at that point in time. And the king was a person called Bhima the first. So he ran away without offering a fight. 50,000 Hindus stood before the temple. 50,000 Hindus tried to stop Mahmud from desecrating the temple. All those 50,000 Hindus were slaughtered. They were massacred. And then Mahmud's army enters Somnath. He plunders the temple. The Shivalinga, it was the first Jyotirlinga. There are 12 Jyotirlingas. So Somnath was the first Jyotirlinga. He smashed the idol of Shiva. He carried away a huge amount of wealth from Somnath. Now, along with Mahmud Ghazni, you have a person called Al-Biruni who accompanies Mahmud. Al-Biruni. So Al-Biruni accompanied Mahmud in his raids on India. And Al-Biruni stayed back in India. He stayed back in India for more than a decade. He learned Sanskrit in this country. And Al-Biruni collected a number of books on astronomy, mathematics, etc. They were all books written in Sanskrit language. And Al-Biruni translates those Sanskrit books on medicine, mathematics, metallurgy, etc. into Arabic language. And Al-Biruni also wrote a book called Kitabul Hind or Tehqiq-e-Hind. Kitabul Hind or Tehqiq-e-Hind, which is considered to be the mirror of 11th century India. So what all were happening in 11th century India, we come to know from this particular book called Kitabul Hind, written by Al-Biruni. So we'll talk about it. Mahmud, important raids of Mahmud, the various kings he defeated and killed, and their kingdoms were conquered, right? So I'll use another page now. I'm still discussing, this is an overview of early medieval India, or for that matter, medieval India. So here, Mahmud of Ghazni, right? So he raided into India 17 times. Now, 150 years, understand this, about 150 years after the death of Mahmud of Ghazni, we have another person who began to raid into India. His name was Shihabuddin Ghori or Muhammad Ghori. Muhammad Ghori, also called Shihabuddin Ghori or Maizuddin Muhammad bin Sam. So we'll talk about him also, Muhammad Ghori. Now, who was this man? So this Muhammad Ghori belonged to the Ghurid dynasty. He belonged to the Ghurid dynasty. And the Ghurids were serving under the Ghaznavids. So Mahmud Ghazni belonged to the Ghaznavid dynasty. Under the Ghaznavids, we have the Ghurids who were serving as feudatories. So once Mahmud Ghazni died, the Ghaznavids became weak and the Ghurids asserted themselves. So they were working as Samant or feudatories under the Ghaznavids, the Ghurids. The Muhammad Ghori, about 150 years after the death of Mahmud Ghazni, began to raid into India. And initially, Muhammad Ghori began to raid into India from the western direction, from Gujarat, Rajasthan side, from the Gujarat side, Gujarat and Rajasthan side. Now, Muhammad Ghori was defeated by a few kings, including Bhima II or Mula Raja II. So, Mula Raja II defeated Ghori. Now, once he was defeated, he changed the line of attack and he began to raid from the Punjab. So, initially, he was attacking India from the western direction, from the west. Okay. Now, once he was defeated, he began to attack India through the Punjab, from the northwest. So he began to attack India through the northwest via Punjab. And all the attacks on India after that happened from the northwest via Punjab. So why did he stop attacking from the west? Obviously, the geography of that area, Gujarat, Rajasthan, semi-arid zone, desert area, not much of resources. The weather is very, very hot, a lack of water, scarcity of water and food and other resources. And this is an army of invasion. They have come from another country and they have come to loot and plunder. So having come to India, they would want to loot and plunder. They would want resources for their army to replenish themselves. They require food for their soldiers, fodder for their horses. right? But then what will you get in Gujarat, Rajasthan, desert area, semi-arid zone? So therefore, he began to attack from the Punjab. Punjab, land of 5 rivers, plenty of water, plenty of food. So they will conquer a few parts of Punjab. Then they will take rest there. They'll drink water, they'll eat food, they'll replenish their resources and energy also. And then once they have taken adequate rest and replenished their resources and energies, they will next attack Delhi. They will next attack Delhi. And the only battlefield between Punjab and Delhi was Panipat. Do you understand? The only battlefield which was available between Delhi and Punjab was Panipat. So therefore, three decisive battles happened at Panipat. The first battle of Panipat, the second battle, and the third battle. And the Delhi Sultan, the ruler of Delhi, will also come out of Delhi to fight the invader. And whoever won at Panipat went on to rule Delhi. So three decisive battles happened at Panipat. So we'll talk about that also. So Muhammad Ghori, right? So here in 1191, understand this, in 1191, he fights a war. This is called the First Battle of Tarain. The First Battle of Tarain, in which he was defeated by Prithviraj Chauhan. So you have the ruler of Chittor, Prithviraja the third, or Prithviraj Chauhan, as he was called. So he defeated Muhammad Ghori, right, in the First Battle of Tarain. Tarain is another word for Thaneshwar. Tarain means Thaneshwar. Another word for Thaneshwar in Haryana. And in many here, in many Indian movies, the hero will thrash the villain and allow him to go, without killing him. Like that, Prithviraj Chauhan or Prithviraj III defeated Ghori and he spared his life and he asked him to go back. This was the mistake he made. In 1192, in 1 year later, we have the Second Battle of Tarain. The Second Battle of Tarain. So you have Muhammad Ghori coming back with a larger army, a much stronger army. And in the Second Battle of Tarain, Prithviraj Chauhan was defeated. Prithviraj Chauhan was defeated and later killed by Muhammad Ghori. So very interesting, we'll talk about it. Then Ghori, you see, unlike Ghazni was only interested in the wealth of India. I have told you that. Ghori wanted to conquer a few parts of India. He wanted to conquer a few parts of India and add it to his empire. And he also wanted to spread Islam in this country. And to do that, he sent two officers. Ghori sent two officers to fulfill that aim of his. One is to conquer a few parts of India and add it to his empire. And the second is to spread Islam in this country. And he sent two officers to do that job for him. One was Qutbuddin Aibak. And the other was Bakhtiar Khalji. So these are the two officers sent by Ghori to conquer a few parts of India. And in that context, Aibak conquered a few areas like Delhi, Agra, Kalinjar, Mahoba. These are the areas conquered by Qutbuddin Aibak, and Bakhtiar Khalji conquered eastern India. So the Palas had been succeeded by the Senas. The Sena dynasty came to an end. He conquered eastern India, Bihar, Bengal, Orissa, etc. And he plundered all the Buddhist universities which existed there. The Sanghas and Viharas were looted. There was a lot of wealth in the Sanghas and in the Viharas. And the Buddhist universities like Nalanda, Vikramashila, Udandapura or Udantapuri, Jaggadala, Somapura, Paharpur, all these Buddhist universities were plundered and destroyed by Bakhtiar Khalji. So these two were officers under Ghori. Hello, are you there with me? Are you following the sequence of history here, all of you? Okay. Megha, just focus on whatever I'm doing. I'll come to Iltutmish and Razia, etc. later. Just hold on. Now, in the year 1206, so I wanted to get the big picture. Like I gave you a big picture when I did ancient India before I began with the chapters. I gave you the big picture. So once you get the big picture in your mind, it becomes very easy to relate to history, the connection you come to know. And when you do self-study, when you read the textbook, And I always request my students to go beyond the classes, go further than the classes, so that you've already done a reading of the particular segment which is being taught. Now, in the year 1206, understand this, in the year 1206, Ghori was assassinated. Muhammad Ghori also had Ghazni as his capital, Ghazni in Afghanistan. So Mahmud Ghazni ruled from Ghazni. Muhammad Ghori also ruled from Ghazni in Afghanistan. So in the year 1206, Ghori was assassinated. He was killed at Ghazni. Thereupon, four of his commanders, including Qutbuddin Aibak, began to fight amongst themselves to parcel out the empire of Ghori. So Ghori had established a huge empire, and four of his commanders, in this context, I'll only name them as ABCD. So two of them were Qutbuddin Aibak and Bakhtiar Khalji, and two more, Tajuddin Yildiz and Nasruddin Kabacha. So four of them began to fight amongst themselves to parcel the empire of Ghori. And in that context, Qutbuddin Aibak proclaimed himself independent. He proclaimed himself independent after the assassination of Ghori. And in the year 1206, he established the Delhi Sultanate. So 1206, we have the establishment of the Delhi Sultanate. We'll come to that in some time. When I come to later medieval India, I'll talk about it. So we have discussed, so this is how we proceed. Shankaracharya and his philosophy of Advaita, then Arab conquest of Sindh and its impact, the triangular conflict for Kannauj between the Palas, Pratiharas, Rashtrakutas. We discuss all these three dynasties in detail. Then we have the age of the Rajputs, some of the important Rajput kingdoms which came into existence in North and Central India. Then Mahmud of Ghazni and Muhammad Ghori. Then, of course, we come to, apart from Mahmud Ghazni and Muhammad Ghori, we'll be discussing about the Chalukyas of Kalyana. We come down south, we discuss about the Chalukyas of Kalyana. The Chalukyas of Kalyana. So they ruled from Basava Kalyan. They ruled from Basava Kalyan, present day Basava Kalyan, in the Bidar district of Karnataka. In the Bidar district of Karnataka. Present day, it is located there. That's why they're called the Chalukyas of Kalyana. Then we have, of course, the Imperial Cholas. We'll be talking about the Chola dynasty. Imperial Cholas. So why are they Imperial Cholas? So why are they called imperial? You have a difference between the Sangam Cholas and these early medieval Cholas. Sangam age we have discussed as part of post-Maurya period. I have discussed Sangam age. We have three Tamil kingdoms existing in the deep south, the Cholas, Cheras, Pandyas. Now, there is no connection between the Sangam Cholas or the Cholas of the Sangam age and these Cholas, the Imperial Cholas. So these Cholas ruled from 850 AD onwards, 825 AD onwards. In the middle of the 9th century, they come into limelight, 850 onwards. And they are called imperial. Now, what is imperialism? Imperialism is projection of power far beyond your immediate geographical confines. Projection of power far beyond your immediate geographical confines. So here the Cholas ruled from Tanjavur, or Tanjore was their capital. In English, Tanjore. In Tamil language, Tanjavur. So they ruled from Tanjavur as their capital, but then their power was felt in major parts of South India. The Cholas had a very powerful navy. The Cholas, I'll use another page now. So here, so the Cholas had a very powerful navy and they dominated this area from Kanyakumari to the Bay of Bengal. And this area came to be called Chola Mandalam. This area came to be called Chola Mandalam. And the anglicized name, the English version of this is Coromandel, what we now call Coromandel Coast. This is from the word Chola Mandalam. The Cholas had a very, very powerful navy. They had reduced the Bay of Bengal into a Chola lake. So they had reduced the Bay of Bengal into a Chola lake. They conquered entire Sri Lanka, Maldives, Lakshadweep, and also parts of Southeast Asia, what we call Indonesia, Malaya, Cambodia, and southern Thailand were conquered by the Cholas. We have the great Chola king, Rajendra Chola. So Rajaraja is considered to be the greatest of the Cholas, imperial Cholas. He built the Brihadeshwara temple in the year 1009 AD. He built the Brihadeshwara temple, which is basically a Shiva temple at Tanjavur. And in 2009 AD, that is a few years back, in 2009 AD, this temple completed 1,000 years of its existence. This is one among the three great living Chola temples. What is the meaning of living Chola temples? Living Chola temples. That is, whatever rituals, puja were performed during the time of Raja are even now performed. So this is a continuous tradition of more than 1,000 years. Rituals, pujas, other things, whatever is performed from the time of Raja continue to be performed in that temple. So this is one among the great living Chola temples, the Brihadeshwara temple at Tanjavur. This is the tallest temple in medieval India, 217 feet in height. 217 feet in height. And Raja conquered northern Sri Lanka. Then, of course, his son Rajendra conquered the southern part of Sri Lanka. So the entire Sri Lanka was conquered by the Cholas. They conquered Maldives, Lakshadweep, and they also attacked Southeast Asia. And I'll come to that when I come to the Chola period. We'll be talking about their great conquests. We have, of course, Kulatunga. We have another king called Kulatunga. So he succeeded Rajendra. We'll come to that. Rajendra, he takes the Chola army via Orissa coast. So from Tamil Nadu via Orissa coast, he attacks North India via the Orissa coast. And we have the Pala king called Mahipala. Mahipala was ruling the Pala kingdom. He was considered to be the most powerful ruler of North India at that point in time. Mahipala, the Pala ruler. So Rajendra defeated Mahipala. And then he takes a title, Gangai Konda Cholan. Rajendra took the title of Gangai Konda Cholan. That is the Chola who conquered the Ganga Valley. So he takes the title of Gangai Konda Cholan. His horses, the Chola horses, are supposed to have quenched their thirst from the Ganges. And via the sea, that is via the Bay of Bengal, on hundreds of ships, Ganga water was brought. Ganga water was brought to Tamil Nadu, and very near to Tanjavur, Rajendra founded a new city. He called that city after his title, Gangai Konda Cholapuram, the city of the Chola who conquered the Ganga Valley. Gangai Konda Cholapuram. And he also built a temple, a Shiva temple in that city, which is also called the Rajeshwara temple or the Gangai Konda Cholapuram temple. So they were great warriors, the Cholas, and also they had a very powerful navy. And the Chola period is also known for the local self-government. The local self-government, what we call the Panchayat system, existed way back in the 10th century AD in the Chola kingdom. So you have people of the village electing village committees. The village committees pretty much looked after their own affairs. You have no central government interfering in the day-to-day life of the villagers. So everything was taken care by the people of the village themselves. So there were various committees, and you have the first example of free and fair elections in India during the Chola period through what is known as Kuduvalai system or pot ticket collection system. So we'll talk about it. Very interesting, the Chola period. It is called the golden age of Tamil literature, the Chola period. So I'll be discussing about the Chalukyas of Kalyana, the imperial Cholas. And then, of course, you see the Kalyana Chalukya kingdom. The Kalyana Chalukya kingdom became weak, and the Kalyana Chalukya kingdom got divided into three parts. The Kalyana Chalukya kingdom, the Kalyana Chalukyas, once they became weak, it split up into three kingdoms. One is the Sevunas or the Yadavas. The Yadavas of Devagiri. They ruled from Devagiri in Maharashtra as their capital. Very near to Aurangabad in Maharashtra, we have a town called Devagiri. Even now it's called Devagiri. So the Yadavas had Devagiri as their capital. Then we have, of course, the Hoysalas. The Hoysalas ruled parts of Karnataka, southern Karnataka, with Belur and later Halebeed as their capitals. And of course, we have the Kakatiyas of Oragallu or Warangal. So the Kalyana Chalukya kingdom got divided into amongst the Yadavas, the Hoysalas, and the Kakatiyas. So we'll be also discussing about the Yadavas, Hoysalas, and the Kakatiyas. This is early medieval Indian history. Did you get me? Hello? Clear? This is early medieval Indian history. So Shankaracharya and his philosophy of Advaita, that is number one. Arab conquest of Sindh, that is number two. Third subtopic is the triangular conflict for Kannauj between the Palas, Pratyaras, Rashtrakutas, that is number three. Then age of Rajputs, that is number four. Then Ghazni and Ghori, that is number five. Then of course we come to the Chalukyas of Kalyana. Okay, Chalukyas of Kalyana. Then we have the imperial Cholas, and then the small kingdoms, the Yadava, that is the Yadavas of Devagiri, the Pandyas and the Hoysalas, the Kakatiyas and the Hoysalas. And of course, we have the Pandyas. We'll be also discussing the Pandyas. So Yadavas, Hoysalas, Kakatiyas, and the Pandyas. This is early medieval Indian history for you. Clear? Yeah, Ankush. They are important. Whenever it is necessary to discuss, we will discuss. Generally, what I have noticed is, since it is factual in nature, most of the institutes don't cover early medieval India. They directly start from Delhi Sultanate. But we will not do anything like that. We will make a quick survey of early medieval India, and wherever things have to be emphasized, I will definitely emphasize. Okay, because UPSC has asked questions from a broad spectrum of topics. So therefore, even 1 mark makes a difference. Even one question makes a difference in the prelims. After all, this is an elimination exam. You're preparing for a very tough exam. So therefore, you have to read the subject in a very broad manner. You cannot pick and choose like we can do for mains. In mains, you can pick and choose, and you can take a calculated risk. But for prelims, you have to read widely because you don't know from where questions can come. Right. So this is early medieval India. Till here, are you clear? Can I start with later medieval India? So I gave you an overview of early medieval India now. Then let me come to later medieval India. Please raise your hands. Clear? Okay. Now we come to later medieval India. So later medieval India, as you can see on your screen, thank you. You can see 1300 to 1800. 1300 to 1800. So we'll talk about it. Let me open a page here, new page. So later medieval India. Later medieval, this is from 1300 to 1800. We start with the Delhi Sultanate. As I've told you, Ghori was assassinated in 1206. In 1206, he was assassinated, and thereupon Qutbuddin Aibak proclaimed himself independent and established the Delhi Sultanate. So the first chapter in your later medieval India is the Delhi Sultanate. Delhi Sultanate. Now, why is it called Delhi Sultanate? So this Delhi Sultanate lasted from 1206 to 1526. 1206 to 1526. A period of 320 years. A period of 320 years under 5 dynasties. There were 5 dynasties which ruled the Delhi Sultanate. Why is it called Delhi Sultanate? The rulers of this dynasty, or rather the rulers of this empire, were called sultans. That was the title taken by the kings of this particular dynasty. So that is called, that's why it's called Delhi Sultanate. They were called sultans. The title was sultan, and they ruled from Delhi. Right, and we find there were 5 dynasties which ruled the Delhi Sultanate. So what are the 5 dynasties? First of all, we have the slave dynasty. Though it is wrong to use the word slave dynasty, but it is carelessly used. The right word is Ilbari Turks or Mamluk Sultans. And I'll discuss the details later, why it is wrong to use the word slave dynasty, etc. I'll discuss that later. So slave dynasty or the Ilbari Turks. Now, who are the important kings under this? We have Qutbuddin Aibak. Wait. So we have the slave dynasty or the Ilbari Turks. Then we have the Khaljis or the Khiljis. So Khaljis. Then, of course, we have the Tughlaqs. Then we have the Sayyids. And then fifthly, the Lodhis. So the first 4 were of Turkish origin. They were all Turks by race. They were Turks, whereas the Lodhis were Afghans. And this Delhi Sultanate lasted for 320 years under these 5 dynasties. Now, who are the important kings under the slave dynasty? We have, of course, Qutbuddin Aibak. So he was the one who laid the foundation of the Delhi Sultanate. He was the one who laid the foundation also of the Qutub Minar. So in Delhi, we have the Qutub Minar, the tallest stone tower in India. The foundation was laid by Qutbuddin Aibak. We'll come to the details later. He ruled for a very short period of time, Aibak. So one day he was playing polo, sitting on the horse and playing hockey. And he had a fall from the horse and died. So he ruled only for 4 years. He was succeeded by his son, but then his son was deposed. And then we have his son-in-law and slave by name Iltutmish. So Aibak, Iltutmish, Razia, and Balban. These are the most important rulers of the slave dynasty. Qutbuddin Aibak, then Iltutmish or Altamish, then Razia, the only woman to sit on the throne of Delhi. The only woman to sit on the throne of Delhi. And then Balban, Balban, who is considered to be the greatest of the slave kings. And Balban became king at the young age of 65. So when he became king, he was only 65 years old. Right? So this is about the slave dynasty. We'll talk about it. Then, so you have the Ankush capital at Delhi for everyone. Yes, these Delhi sultans built totally 5 cities. They built 5 cities, right? And 2 were added by the Mughals. I'll come to that later. But since you're asking me, Ankush, I'll tell you. We have Qutbuddin Aibak, who founded the city of Meheroli. So Meheroli, also called Lalkot. So that was the first city built by the Delhi Sultans, Meheroli or Lalkot. Then Siri, second city of Delhi was Siri, built by Alauddin Khalji. Tughlakabad, the third city, was built by Ghiyazuddin Tughlaq, the founder of the Tughlaq dynasty. Then Jahanpana. Jahanpana was the fourth city built by Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Fifth city was Firuzabad, built by Firuz Shah Tughlaq. So 5 cities were built by the Delhi Sultans. And then the sixth was Deenpana. Deenpana was built by by Humayun, the son of Babur, Humayun. So Humayun built Deenpana, and the seventh city was Shahjahanabad, built by Shah Jahan. So totally we have 7 cities of Delhi. 5 were built by the Delhi Sultans, and 2 were added by the Mughals. So they all ruled from Delhi, and they founded a number of cities as part of Delhi. So Delhi is a megalopolis. It consists of many cities. Right now, these are the slave kings. We'll talk about it. Then we have the transition of the next dynasty, the Khaljis. So the slave kings were overthrown by another dynasty called the Khaljis. Khaljis ruled for a very brief period of time, just for 30 years they ruled. But the greatest of the Delhi sultans belonged to the Khalji dynasty. His name was Alauddin Khalji. Alauddin Khalji. So he is the greatest of the Delhi sultans, Alauddin. So we'll talk about him. Very important from the exam point of view, Alauddin Khalji, his military conquests. So the conquest of Alauddin Khalji, the various reforms he brought about, like military reforms, revenue reforms, market reforms. So conquest of Alauddin Khalji, then the reforms he brought about, like revenue reforms, market reforms, military reforms, are very, very important. And he conquered almost the whole of India, Alauddin Khalji. North India was first conquered, and then South India was conquered by his general Malik Kafur. Major parts of South India were conquered by Malik Kafur. And we have the dynasties which ruled South India, like the Yadavas of Devagiri, the Kakatiyas of Varangal, the Hoysalas of Dwara Samudra, and the Pandyas. All these 4 kingdoms of the south were defeated by by Malik Kafur, the general of Alauddin Khalji. Not fully. The Pandyas were not decisively defeated. It was partly successful. The campaign against the Pandyas. We'll discuss that in detail. But then South India was drained of its wealth. Entire wealth of South India was squeezed out by Malik Kafur, and he carried away all the wealth to his master, Alauddin Khalji. Then, of course, we have the Tughlaqs who succeeded the Khaljis. We'll be talking about the Tughlaqs. Ghiyazuddin Tughlaq was the founder. Then we have 2 important kings. One was Muhammad bin Tughlaq. In short, I'll write MBT, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and Firuz Shah Tughlaq. Firuz Tughlaq. So these are 2 important rulers of the Tughlaq dynasty, Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So I'm sure you have studied about Muhammad bin Tughlaq in your school days, known for his various policies, which all bombed. He tried to implement a number of policies, but all his programs failed. All his policies failed. And when he died, people rejoiced. They celebrated his death. So we'll talk about it. Then, of course, Saids, not much to talk about the Saids. And then we have the Lodhis. Lodhis, we have a person called Ibrahim. He was the last ruler, Ibrahim Lodi. And when this Ibrahim Lodi was ruling Delhi, three people invited a certain Babar to attack Delhi. Three people invited Babar. So Babar was ruling over Kabul in Afghanistan. So he was the king of Kabul, this Babar. And three people invited Babar to attack Delhi. And they told Babar, if you attack Delhi, we will support you. And either way, Babar was planning an expedition against India, a fifth expedition against India. And simultaneously, these three people invited him. What was the reason why they invited? What was their intention, etc.? We will talk about it later. And Babar came. And when Babar came, you have the first battle of Panipat. It's the first battle of Panipat, which happened in 1526. First battle of Panipat. So he was the king of Kabul, Babar. And Babar was warned by the soothsayers. The court astrologers of Babar warned him not to go to battle. They said that the stars foretell his doom. And probably, they were right, because the strength of Babar's army was just 12,000. So the strength of Babar's army was 12,000 cavalry, but they were battle-hardened soldiers. They were all battle-hardened soldiers, 12,000 cavalry, whereas the Delhi Sultan, Ibrahim Lodi, had an army of 1 lakh. So 1 lakh army versus 12,000 Babar's soldiers. But in the Battle of Panipat, it was Babar who won the day. It was Babar who won the day. He uses two novel techniques, which was alien to the Delhi Sultans. So wars are won through strategy, not just through force. So he uses two novel strategies, which was not known to the Delhi Sultans at all. And for the first time on the soil of North India, Babar uses gunpowder. He used gunpowder for the first time on the soil of North India. And two novel techniques he uses. And then he had scored a thrilling victory. He had defeated and killed Ibrahim Lodi, and he established the Mughal Empire. So we'll talk about the Delhi Sultanate, very interesting topic, very important also from the exam point of view, the administration of the Delhi Sultans, society, economy, etc. And art and architecture, I'll reserve it for art and culture section. This is about Delhi Sultanate. Okay, so here, the next chapter in your later medieval India is the Mughal Empire. So here, Babur established, so in the first battle of Panipat, he kills Ibrahim Lodi and establishes the Mughal Empire. And we will be talking about the Great Mughals. 1526 to 1707 is the period of the Great Mughals. Now, why are they called Great Mughals? Because we have another group of Mughals who ruled from 1707 to 1857 or 1858. These are the later Mughals, a poor replica of the Great Mughals. These are called the later Mughals. That you study as part of modern India. They are the sons and successors of Aurangzeb, who ruled from 1707 onwards. And they are a poor replica of the great Mughals. All the fellows were useless fellows, these later Mughals. That's why we call these Mughals, who ruled from 1526 to 1707, as the great Mughals. So who are these great Mughals? First of all, we'll talk about Babur. Babur, very fascinating man. Babur, Zahiruddin Muhammad Babur. Babur means tiger. And you please understand, Mughals are known more by their titles than by their real names. So his real name was Zahiruddin Muhammad, and Babur was his title. Babur means tiger. And Babur established the Mughal Empire in 1526, but he ruled for only 4 years, 1526 to 30. And in these 4 years, he fought 4 battles. Right? Very interesting. Babur's story is he fought 4 battles and he won all those battles, and he became the master of Hindustan. So when he came to India, his ambition was only to conquer a few parts of the Punjab. So who was Babur? What was his background? What brought him to India? Is itself a very fascinating story. I'll tell you later when I come to Babur. And then you see, in 4 years, he fought 4 battles and he became the master of Hindustan. That is, from Himalayas to Narmada, till central India, everything was his. And then Babur's young son, Humayun, was on his deathbed. No? Humayun was on his deathbed in around 1530. Hakims, youngster like you people. He was in his early 20s, and he was, he had fallen sick, but then he was not showing signs of improvement. The Hakims, the doctors came and they tried to treat him. They were treating him, but he was not responding to the treatment. And then they gave up hope. They told Babur that we have tried our best. You please pray to your God Allah, and if you have the blessings of God, he might survive. So Babur is supposed to, his heart sank, and he entered his private prayer hall and he began to do namaz. He began to pray to his God Allah, and it seemed that his prayers were answered. He asked for an exchange of life. He said, I have lived my life. You take away whatever remaining life I have and give it to my son. Let my son survive and let you take away my life. And his prayers were answered. Very fascinating story. We'll talk about it. And of course, Babur was known for his autobiography. He's known for his autobiography, Tusuki Baburi or Babur Nama, which he writes in Turkish language. So then we have Humayun, who succeeded him. Nasruddin Muhammad Humayun. Humayun means fortunate. That is the title of Nasruddin Muhammad. His real name was Nasruddin Muhammad. Title Humayun. Humayun means fortunate, but his life was full of unfortunate circumstances, all his own making. We'll talk about it. Humayun, he lost the empire which his father had built with so much of difficulty. Okay, he ruled for 10 years and then he lost everything which his father had built. And you have a man called Sher Khan, who later became Sher Shah. So the Sher Shah conquered Delhi, defeated Humayun, and kicked him out of India. And Babur became a king without a kingdom. There was no Mughal empire from 1540 to 1555. For 15 years, there was no Mughal empire. Everything had been lost by Humayun. And then after 15 years, he comes back. Humayun went away to Persia, that is Iran, as an exile. He went on away as an exile. He stayed in Iran for 15 years, and he was helped by the Shah of Persia. The king of Persia helped him. We'll talk about it. And then after 15 years, Humayun comes back, reconquers Delhi, kills the grandson of Sher Shah. Sher Shah died in an accident. He lived for only 5 years after conquering Delhi. So Sher Shah's grandson was killed by Humayun, and Humayun reconquers Delhi. But within 8 months after reconquering Delhi and re-establishing the Mughal Empire, Humayun was coming down the steps of his library. He slipped and fell. He slipped and fell and died. And his son was Akbar, who was just 13 years, 4 months old. So Akbar had been appointed as the governor of Punjab. Akbar was just 13 years, 4 months old when his father suddenly died at Delhi. And then Delhi was conquered by the king of Bihar. The king of Bihar conquered Delhi from the Mughals. And then happened the second battle of Panipat, 1556, the second battle of Panipat. We'll talk about it, second battle of Panipat, where young Akbar was just a witness. He was still young, so he could not fight this battle. But the trusted officer of Humayun, the caretaker of Akbar, by name Bairam Khan. So Bairam Khan fought against Hemu in the second battle of Panipat. Who this Hemu was? Hemu was the commander of the king of Bihar. So we'll talk about it. And then, of course, Hemu was killed in this battle. A quirk of fate, you might call it. Probably that is what destiny had willed it. So the Mughals won this battle, though they were on the losing side initially, but they won this battle ultimately, and Hemu was killed. And Akbar comes to power in 1560, the greatest of the Mughal emperors, Akbar. So we'll talk about Akbar, the Mansabdari system. The foundation of the administrative superstructure was laid by Akbar. He divided the Mughal empire into provinces called subas, subdivided into districts, parganas, etc. So then all the administrative innovations introduced by Akbar, Mansabdari system, religious policy of Akbar, his conquest, his brilliant conquests, and of course his religious policy. So all these things we'll discuss as part of the Mughal chapter. Then after Akbar, we have his son Jahangir. That is Salim. Salim was his real name. When he became the emperor, he took the title of Jahangir. So we'll talk about Jahangir, and then of course Shah Jahan. Shah Jahan, the greatest of the Mughal builders, who built the Taj Mahal, the Red Fort at Delhi, the Moti Masjid at Agra, and also the Jama Masjid, the tallest, the biggest mosque in India at Delhi, the Jama Masjid. So Shah Jahan was a great builder, and within a few years, when he became emperor, he lost his favorite queen, Mumtaz Mahal. Just 2-3 years after he became emperor, he lost his favorite queen, and that broke his heart, and he began the construction of the Taj Mahal, which took 22 years to build. So we'll talk about it. Then, of course, we have Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb. So towards the end of Shah Jahan's period, there was a civil war. He was hale and hearty, but all his four sons began to fight for the throne. And ultimately, Aurangzeb, the third son of Shah Jahan, managed to kill two of his brothers. One ran away from India, and he imprisoned his father and became the Mughal emperor. The zenith of the Mughal Empire is under Aurangzeb. The Mughal Empire reached its zenith under him, but Aurangzeb made enmities with many people, with the Jats, the Bangash Pathans, the Sikhs. He made enmities with the Sikhs, the enmity with the Rajputs, and also the Marathas. And his conflict with Shivaji, with Chhatrapati Shivaji, is very interesting. So this is about Mughal chapter. We'll be discussing Mughal society, economy, art and architecture of the Mughals will be covered as part of art and culture section. So this is about Mughal Empire. Simultaneously, along with Mughals, I'll start with the Marathas. The third chapter in your later medieval India is the Marathas and the great Maratha king Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. So everything about the Marathas, the contribution of Shivaji, the Ashtapradhan system of Shivaji, what is Chaut, what is Sardesh Mukhi, what are the various conquests of Shivaji, and then what happened to the Maratha kingdom after the death of Shivaji, and how the Peshwas come to limelight. So I'll be talking about that. Then, of course, we have Vijayanagara. Vijayanagar, Vijayanagara, and Vijayanagar Bahmani kingdom, right, and other kingdom, other regional kingdoms which came into existence between the establishment of the Delhi Sultanate and the establishment of the Mughal Empire. So between 1206, that is the time when the Delhi Sultanate was established, that year, and 1526, when the Mughal Empire was established. So in this period, we have a number of kingdoms which are established in North and Central India. So we will be discussing about that. Malwa, Jaunpur, many of the Rajput kingdoms, the Sisodias of Mewar, or for that matter, the rulers of Amer, that is the Kachwahas of Amer, the Rathors of Marwar, etc. So Vijayanagara, Bahmani kingdom, and other regional kingdoms. We have another chapter called Sufi Bhakti movement. Sufi and Bhakti movement. Sufi Bhakti movement I will cover as part of art and culture. I'll cover that as part of art and culture. This is your overview of medieval India, early medieval India, later medieval India. Later medieval India, Delhi Sultanate, then we have Mughal Empire, then Marathas, then Vijayanagara and Bahmani and other kingdoms, and of course Sufi Bhakti movement, which will be covered as part of art and culture. This is your medieval India overview. Yes, later Mughals we will study as part of modern India, so I'll not be talking about later Mughals, Ankush. Okay, are you there with me? Clear, all of you? This is your overview of medieval Indian history. Right. So what are the, so you can see here on your screen, early medieval India. So medieval India is from 800 to 1800, 800 to 1800, which we divide into two parts. Early medieval India from the 8th to the 12th century. So what are the chapters we'll be discussing? We have Shankaracharya and his philosophy of Advaita, the Arab conquest of Sindh, then the triangular conflict for Kannauj between the Palas, Pratiharas, Rashtrakutas, various Rajput kingdoms, and who these Rajputs were. We will talk about it. Then Mahmud of Ghazni and Muhammad Ghori, the Chalukyas of Kalyana, the Cholas, the Imperial Cholas, then the Pandyas, Hoysalas, Kakatiyas. Right? So this is early medieval India. Then we come to later medieval India. On your screen, Delhi Sultanate, 1206 to 1526. Delhi Sultanate. Then Mughal Empire, 1526 to 1707. Then rise of Marathas under Shivaji. So, and then what happened to the Maratha kingdom after the death of Shivaji? How the Peshwas come to limelight? I'll just touch upon it and leave it, because we study Peshwas as part of early modern India, isn't it? When you do modern India, you talk about the Peshwas. So I'll leave you there. I'll just talk about briefly about how the Peshwas come to limelight, important developments after the death of Shivaji, and how the Peshwas come to limelight. And then I'll leave you there. And then, of course, Vijayanagara and other regional kingdoms. Sufi Bhakti movement, I'll cover it as part of art and culture. Now, what is the book list for Medieval India? Please read Satish Chandra, Medieval India by Satish Chandra. So that is the book recommended by Byju's. You can also supplement that with Poonam Dalal Dahiya, Medieval India by Poonam Dalal Dahiya. It is also very, very good. So you can supplement that. In case you've already done Satish Chandra, please revise Satish Chandra and read selectively a few chapters from Poonam's book. So because Poonam Dalal Dahiya has also taken sources, books, information from many sources. So that's a very, very good book again. So this should be sufficient, right? Don't neglect any section of your syllabus. Don't neglect any section. Go through the entire syllabus at least once. Yeah, thank you, Brajni. Clear? You got a bird's eye view of medieval India. Now let us come to the factual part of it. Let us talk about the chota mota topics, the factual part of it. So Nancy, see NCRT. You have it all depends how much time you have at your disposal, Nancy. If you're preparing for next year, then please read your NCRTs. NCRTs give you a very solid foundation. Now, what is the idea behind reading NCRTs? You see, most of the students who are preparing for UPSC come from state board. They would have done their schooling in the state boards. Okay, nothing wrong in that. Their parents have put them in the state board for various reasons, and they would have finished their schooling in state board. But I hope you agree with me. If you compare the state board syllabus with the ICSE and CBSE, the state board syllabus is not up to the mark of ICSE and CBSE, isn't it? So CBSE, ICSE syllabus is a little bit much more tougher compared to state boards. So to make up so it is presumed that the foundation is not very strong. I'm not saying that state board students are not smart. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the foundation, the fundamentals might not be as good as uh, ICSE CBSE student, of a serious ICSE CBSE student. So to make up that, you start reading CBSE books, NCRT books, and within 3 months, what you have lost in your school days, you make it up by reading NCRT books and finish it within 3 months of your preparation. So you're on par with the ICSE, CBSE students. Did you understand? That's the whole idea of reading NCRT books, so that your foundation is strong and your fundamentals are strong, because you cannot build a superstructure on a weak foundation. So strengthen your foundation, and then you're on par with other students, irrespective of what syllabus they have studied, and then you're good to go. Okay, so if you've already done CBSE, ICSE syllabus, then please revise those books. Whatever you underlined or whatever you read in your school days, please revise them, and that is then you're good to go. Then you can read the advanced books. Yeah, Satish Chandra book. Yeah, that is good. Satish Chandra book is good. So you don't need to memorize the books. Go through when you read the textbook, you'll come to know what is important, what is unimportant. But then please read at least one textbook, and the reference is your previous year question papers. Go to the syllabus thoroughly, few times, and then look at the previous year question papers, both prelims and mains. So you'll come to know the level of difficulty of questions asked. Did you understand? You'll come to know the level of difficulty of questions asked. So this is the recommended books. No, we are recommending this book. Now, if you want to read some other book, it is up to you. It should satisfy one criteria. What is the main criteria? Whatever book you're reading, that book you should be able to answer the questions asked by the UPSC in the prelims and the mains. That should be the criteria. Which book you study is up to you. This is our suggestion. You want to use your own mind, you're always welcome. Okay, it is up to the student. But we can only tell you can read this book, because there are so many books in the market, you might get confused as to what to read and what not to read. In fact, for UPSC, it is important to know what not to read than what to read nowadays, with so much of information overload in the market and also in the media. Right? PPTs can be used as a base. Yeah, PPTs can be the base. Hari, make the PPTs as the base, and then you read one textbook. That's what I've been telling you from the beginning. Gunjan, if you're already from CBSE, I told you, revise those books. If you're there, no? and you might have not read some chapters in school. You revise those chapters, read those chapters afresh, right? And then you are good to go. It will be easier for you because you already read the book. So just revise it. Pari, Ancient India, I've already told you, R.S. Sharma. Same book I have, R.S. Sharma supplemented with Punam Dalal Daya. If you don't want to read Punam Dalal Daya, don't read. I'm not forcing you. It's up to you. It all depends upon how much time is there at your disposal. If you're preparing for next year, then you have a lot of time. Then you can do a thorough preparation. Yeah, please go through it. You above that, whatever you can do, you please do it. Okay, Ankush, that's great. You're having your first attempt in 2026. See that it's your last attempt, Ankush. See that it's your first and last attempt, and you crack it in the first attempt itself. Yeah, Arun, I will talk to you, Arun. I'll talk to you. Yeah, I'll talk to you regarding optional. I'll talk to you. So, okay, can we start with the first topic? Right. So, Shankaracharya and his philosophy of Advaita. So, before we begin, what I have done is I've given you a chart. You can see here we have a number of books written in medieval times, which give information about medieval Indian history. So each of these books give information about various aspects of medieval India. Every book is not important, but then I have given you a chart. So this is more than substantial. Just go through it a few times. So, for example, um, this book, Kamilut Tawarikh, written by Ibn ul Asir. So this is the history of Central Asia and the rise of the Shanspani dynasty of Ghur. Like the Charge-Nama, written by Abu Bakr. It talks about the Arab conquest of Sindh. So when you read that, understand this, when you read the textbook of Satish Chandra, you will come to know when you're reading, there'll be some reference to some author and the book he wrote. That becomes relevant. I have given you a chart here, so don't worry about this. Go through the chart a few times. But when you're reading your textbook, like Satish Chandra, in the context, you will have some author and the book written by him or the books written by that person. That becomes relevant from the exam point of view. But anyway, I have given you a chart like this. So go through it. This chart, Tabakati Nasiri by Minhaj Siraj. So what is the information this particular book gives? Tariq-e Firuz Shahi, written by Ziauddin Barani. So what is the information this particular book gives? Like that, I have covered in a broad area, entire literary sources for the study of medieval India. So please revise, go through it a few times. We have also travelogues, autobiographies, for example, Babar Nama, written by Babar. So what is the information it gives? Okay, then Humayun Nama. Humayun Nama, written by Gulbadan Begum. So this is the biography of Humayun, written by his sister Gulbadan Begum, like that. Akbar Nama by Abul Fazal, who was a minister under Akbar. Right? Did you get me? So these are the various books. Please go through them. And also we have travelogues. Many travelers came to India during the medieval period. For example, Ibn Battuta. Ibn Battuta came to the court of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. He was in fact the first traveler to Vijayanagara, the Vijayanagara kingdom. Ibn Battuta. He was from Morocco in Africa. So he came during the time of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, Ibn Battuta. Then Marco Polo, he came in the 13th century to India. So he visited South India in the 13th century. Abdul Razak, who came, also visited the court of Harihara II of Vijayanagara, Abdul Razak. Nicola di Conte, who came to the court of Devaraya I. So various travelers came visiting India during various dynasties, during the rule of various rulers, and they give us a lot of information. So I have put a chart for you. Please go through that and supplement this particular information with Nitin Singhania. So we have Nitin Singhania's book is important for art and culture. That is a Bible for art and culture section. Art and culture, Nitin Singhania. So Nitin Singhania, when I do art and culture, I'll be recommending this book, Nitin Singhania. And in this Nitin Singhania book, we have a book on we have a chapter on travelers. So various travelers visited India from the ancient times, and they give us a lot of information. So this particular chapter covers it, and you can supplement that with this chart, whatever chart I have given you here. Clear? Remembering this is essential. See, when you read it, Megha, when you read it, and there's a question asked in the examination, so somewhere it will strike your it will strike you because the choices are there on the question paper that you just have to mark which is the right answer. So you don't need to mug it up as such. When you revise a few times, then you'll remember and you'll be able to mark the correct answer. It's always good to do a broad reading of the syllabus, isn't it? Read the textbooks. Did you understand? So you don't need to mug it up. You just have to revise a few times, and then when you keep answering the questions, you'll come to know. You'll be able to mark the right answer through a technique of elimination. Also, you'll be able to arrive at the right answer. No, I told you already. I answered this question, Ankush. Sir, book name is impossible to remember. Yes, it is impossible. It is difficult to remember all the books. That's why I said when you're reading the textbook, for example, Ziauddin Barani. So, Ziauddin Barani was one of the contemporary scholars during the time of Alauddin Khalji and also Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Muhammad bin Tughlaq, actually. So here, Barani gives us a lot of information about the rule of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So that becomes important. What are the various information given by Ziauddin Barani? What are the various books written by him in the context of Muhammad bin Tughlaq and Firuz Shah Tughlaq? So that becomes important. Yeah, I have already answered that. Did you understand, Mega Ankush? Definitely, you can make cue cards. You can make cue cards. See, the thing is, the whole idea is to give you as much as information as possible. You might feel intimidated by the maze of information I have put here in my PPTs. But then this is to make your job much easier, not to scare you as such. Do you understand? I could have reduced the amount of information so that you are feeling comfortable on the other end of the camera. But that is not my idea. My idea is to give you as much as information as possible so that when you read your textbook, this will act as a supplement to textbook reading. Did you understand? Sindhu, we'll come to the interview part later. We'll just stick to this part. If you clear the first two stages, then we'll answer that part. So various travelers came to India and during from various countries, and they have given us a lot of information about the period during which they came visiting India. So go through this. These are all travelogues, right? Then we have indigenous literature, the local authors. For example, Raja Tarangani, written by Kalhana, talks about the history of Kashmir from the early times to the 12th century AD. Then Prithviraj Raso by Chand Bardai, etc. So these are all examples of indigenous literature. Then we also, apart from these books, we also have coins, seals, monuments, inscriptions, and also temples like the Brihadeshwara temple, the Hoysala period temples, Nayaka temples, Qutub Minar, Alai Darwaza, Mughal architecture, Mughal monuments. They also serve as a source of information for the study of the relevant period and relevant dynasty. Clear? Are you there with me? Sindhu, when you come to the interview stage, you yourself will come to know which language you would want to choose in the interview. Okay, Sindhu. So let us cross the bridge when we arrive there, Sindhu. Let us cross the bridge when we arrive there. You will yourself come to know. Now, whatever language you can best express in, that is the best. UPSC is not telling you have to only take English, isn't it? You can take any language which is given in the list by the UPSC in the 8th schedule of the Constitution. Whatever language you can express yourself best in, that is the language for you. And also, we'll come back here. Shankaracharya. Can we start? Medieval India. So let us talk about Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya. Any other doubts? You please mail me. Okay. So what do you know about Shankaracharya? Anybody in the class? Adi Shankaracharya. Hello? Anybody? Whatever you know, what do you know about Adi Shankaracharya? Any idea? Okay, 4 Pitas. Okay, 4 Pitas. Okay, Advaita philosophy. Okay, Brajneet, Bhimre, 4 Pitas. Commentary on the Upanishads. Okay. Chetsha is saying, what just heard? You've not heard about Adi Shankaracharya Chetsha? He's from Kerala, so he died very early. Okay, fine. So we'll come back here. Now, Shankaracharya. Okay, Kedarnath Shiva temple. Thank you. So we'll talk about Shankaracharya. So here, Adi Shankaracharya. Adi Shankaracharya. Now, Shankaracharya, so understand this, he was born at Kaladi or Kaladi in Kerala. He was born at Kaladi in Kerala. So he was born at Kerala. And at a very young age, he is supposed to have mastered the Vedas, the Upanishads, etc. He had no father, no, and his mother was taking care of him. And he asked his mother permission, I believe, to take up sannyas. So when he asked his mother to take up sannyas, she refused to give him permission to take up sannyas. He wanted to be a sannyasi at a very young age, that is, renounce the world. So what is the meaning of sannyasi? You cut away all your worldly attachments and you are alone in the world. You don't have any attachments. So his mother refused to give him permission, and it is said that the gods conspired against his mother. So one day, I believe, Shankaracharya was, in the river near his home. He was in the river. His mother was also in the river, probably washing clothes or taking a bath. And Shankara, who was in the river, found himself being caught by a crocodile, and the crocodile was dragging him into the river. Now, Shankara is supposed to have called out to his mother and told his mother that a crocodile has caught hold of his leg, and now that since he's going to die now, as well she give permission that he take up sannyas. So his mother agreed to allow him to take up sannyas. And miraculously, once his mother gave permission to Shankara to take up sannyas, the crocodile released its grip. It had caught his feet, it released its grip, and he came walking to the shore. So this is what is a story told, that the gods conspired like this against his mother so that his mother can give him permission to take up sannyas. So he bid goodbye to his mother, but he also told his mother that in her old age, when she is dying, he will come and perform the final rites of his mother. This is against the sannyasa rule tenet. Once you take up sannyas, you're not supposed to come back to your family. But then Shankara promised his mother that when she is in her old age and when she is about to die, he will take care of her and he'll perform her final rites. And having said that, he went away. Now, he left home at a very young age, at maybe about 11, 12 years old, and he comes to Madhya Pradesh. Um, to a place called Omkareshwar. So he came to a place called Omkareshwar. And at Omkareshwar in Madhya Pradesh, he accepted a guru, Govinda Bhagavat Pada. So Govinda Bhagavat Pada became his guru. So he accepted Govinda Bhagavat Pada as his guru. Recently, we have the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, Mr. Shivraj Singh Chauhan. He unveiled a 108 feet statue, a 108 feet statue of Adi Shankaracharya at Omkareshwar. So it was recently unveiled, a few months back. It was unveiled by the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh because of that reason, because he's supposed to have come to Omkareshwar and accepted Govinda Bhagavat Pada as his guru. Now, Shankara, this was the period when we have Buddhism, which was on its ascendancy. Buddhism was becoming very, very popular. And a number of Shudras from the Vedic religion were converting themselves to Buddhism. So what was the contribution of Shankaracharya? In debates and discussions? In debates and discussions, he defeated many of the logicians, including Buddhist logicians, and he strengthened the Vedic religion. He's supposed to have traveled around the country 3 times. He went around the country 3 times. And in the 4 corners of India, he established 4 mutts. 4 mutts. The first mutt he established was in Karnataka, in present-day Karnataka, at a place called Sringeri. So this was the first mutt established by him. So in the 4 corners of India, he established 4 mutts. One is in Sringeri in Karnataka, in the south. In the north, at at Badrinath, in north Badrinath Mutt. In Badrinath, he established the Mutt there. Then, of course, in Orissa, he established at Puri a Mutt there, the Govardhana Pita. It's called the Govardhana Pita, the Govardhan Mutt, and of course the Kalika Pita, the Kalika Pit in Gujarat. So these are the various mutts established by him. Um, then Shankara's philosophy is called Advaita. Understand this? Shankara's philosophy is called Advaita, also called Kevala Advaita. It's also called Kevala Advaita. What's the meaning of this? Let us try to understand this meaning, Advaita or Kevala Advaita. In English, it is called monism. In English, it is called monism. So, what is Advaita? What does Shankara say as part of this philosophy? You see, there is God. Understand this? One is God, the other is God's creation. One is God, and the other is God's creation. Shankara says both are the same. God and God's creation are one and the same. And that is called monism or Advaita. Right? God and God's creation are one and the same. That is called Advaita or monism. Now, Shankara says, understand this. Shankara says, let me take my personal example to make things clearer for all of us. So let's say this is the physical body. So I have a physical body, like just as all of you have your physical body. And there is a jiva. This is the jiva. This is the physical body. And inside me, there's an atma or a soul. So understand this. So let us say this is the person. This is the person, right? Now, this is the physical body. This is the physical body or jiva. Okay. And in every jiva, there is an atma or a soul. So every jiva has an atma or a soul. Now, what Shankara says is the jiva is not permanent. It is when somebody dies, it is only the death of the physical body. When somebody dies, it is only the death of the physical body because the atma has no death. It is chirayu. That is, it is permanent. Atma is permanent. It has no death. But then please understand, I'm trying to explain to you the philosophy of Shankaracharya, Kevala Advaita philosophy. So this is the physical body or the jiva, and when a person dies, it's only the death of the physical body. The atma doesn't have any death. But then the atma experiences everything. The soul experiences everything through this physical body. So whatever I do, the soul is able to experience that through my physical body because the soul is residing in my physical body. And the soul, Shankara says, begins to think that whatever it is experiencing is real. Whatever the soul is experiencing through the physical body, the soul begins to think that it is real. And this is because it is under an illusion. He says the soul is under the influence of Maya or illusion. Okay, so since the soul is experiencing everything through the physical body, it begins to think that it is real because it is under an illusion or Maya. But once the soul, once knowledge comes to the soul, right? Once enlightenment happens, or once knowledge comes to the soul, then the soul realizes that all this is only Maya, it is not real. And that is when moksha happens. Moksha is freedom from rebirth. A person will not be born on this earth. So what is the meaning of moksha? Freedom from rebirth. Freedom from rebirth. This is his philosophy. So through Gnana Marga, so that is, he says, through Gnana Marga, one can attain moksha. Gnana Marga is path of knowledge. So through path of knowledge, one can attain moksha. Did you understand? Hello, did you understand what is Shankara's philosophy? If you can raise your hands, do you want me to repeat it? Do you want me to repeat? Okay, so again I repeat. So who wants me to repeat? Checha wants me to repeat. Okay, so Checha, what I said is all of us have a physical body, and there is an Atma or a soul residing in each of our physical body. When a person dies, it's only the death of the physical body. So the body is burnt or buried, isn't it? The dead body is burnt or buried. Now, the soul doesn't have a death. But then the soul is experiencing everything through the physical body. Because since the soul is residing in each and every one of us, it is experiencing this world through the physical body. And the soul begins to think that whatever it is experiencing is real because it is under an illusion or maya. But once the soul realizes through path of knowledge or gnana marga that whatever it is experiencing is only maya or illusion and it is not true, then moksha happens. Then that soul will attain moksha. That is, it will break free from the shackles of rebirth, birth and rebirth. So that is Shankara's philosophy. Did you understand? That is Shankara's philosophy. So, in other words, what is real is Brahman. Brahma is real. Rest all is an illusion. Understand this? Shankara's in the gist of Shankara's philosophy is this: Brahman is real. The only reality in the world is Brahman. That is the only reality. All other things, all other, all others are a construct of your mind. Understand this? All others are a construct of your mind. Let me give you an example. Let me give an example. It might sound stupid, but then this is just to convey what is the meaning of Shankara's philosophy. Now, let us say you go to your ancestral village. You go to your ancestral village after many years. Let's say this is the house you have there. This is the ancestral house you have there. Okay, I'm just giving you an example, a hypothetical example. Okay, so this is the house, and there are many servants there. Some of your relatives are staying there, and let us say one of your uncles there who sees you, he tells you that a snake was seen in one of the rooms. A few days back, a snake was seen. So that's what is told to you, and you have gone there for a holiday with your parents, and your plan is to stay there for 4 days. So that is why you're staying there for 4 days totally. And on the second day, in the evening at around 7 o'clock, when it is dark, you enter a room, and then you feel that you're stamping something. Okay, and you shout in fright. You think you have stamped a snake, and you shout loudly out of fright, and you jump and sit on a chair. And people come running, let us say, and they switch on the light. When they switch on the light, what they see is a rope. A rope is seen. This is a rope. Let's say this is a rope. Okay, you have stamped a rope, and you thought you had stamped a snake. Now, till the light was switched on, that was your reality. You thought that you had stamped a snake. That is your reality. Once the light was switched on, then everybody saw, including yourself, that that was not a snake, that was actually a rope. That is also real. So everything is a construct of your mind. Did you understand? That's what Shankara says. Everything is a construct of your mind. For example, if your mind says that this UPSC exam is very, very tough, you don't have the capacity to clear this exam, you are in doubt. That is your reality. Because your mind is telling that exam is tough, therefore let me not study for this exam. That is your reality. And conversely, let us say your mind says that you can tackle this exam, you can plan well, and you can tackle this exam, and you can still clear this exam. That is also real. So, whatever your mind says is your reality. Did you understand? That is Shankara's philosophy. So, be very careful what you feed your mind. In other words, be very careful what you tell yourself, what you feed your mind, because that can become your reality. Clear? So Brahma is real. Brahman, there's only one reality, that is Brahman, God. Rest all is an illusion, according to Shankara. This is Shankara's philosophy. Did you understand? So be very, very careful with whom you speak about UPSC, etc. If they are discouraging you, you keep them away because they'll create self-doubts in your mind. So be very, very careful of that. So here, that's why I keep on telling my students, do a SWOT analysis. Sorry to digress here, but then this is important from the exam point of view. Strength, weakness, opportunity, threat. What are your strengths? Assess that. What are your weaknesses? You assess that. Weaknesses. It could be your handwriting. It could be guests coming to your house frequently, a lot of children playing. You're not able to study properly. That's your weakness. That can become a debilitating weakness. It can hamper your progress. Opportunity. For example, you have joined Byju's for coaching. So that's an opportunity which you have utilized. I'm just giving an example. Or you have an opportunity to go to a library nearby and sit there without any distraction. So that is an opportunity. And the threat, what could be a threat? Threat could be anything. It could be from your own family members. It could be from friends. It could be from relatives. Or it could be your own mind playing games with you. So be very careful of the threat. So anyway, we'll come back here. Did you understand? So this is Shankara's philosophy. Right now, Shankara is supposed to have gone around the country 3 times. I told you 4 times. Sorry, 3 times. He established 4 mutts in the 4 corners of India. And Shankara says that, yagna, homa, yagas, they have to be performed. They should be performed without being attached to the results. It will purify the mind and it will help in mental discipline. So yagnas, rituals like yagnas, home, havan, etc. You please do that without being attached to the results, because that will help you to develop self-control and also mental discipline. Shankara died at a very young age, at the age of 32 years, at Kedarnath. He died at Kedarnath, and his last rites were performed there. In the year 2013, there were floods. Understand this? There were floods in Kedarnath. The entire city of Kedarnath went under the waters. So then the statue of Shankaracharya was damaged. So about 2 years back, 2, 3 years back, in 2021 or so, we have a statue of Shankaracharya which was installed at Kedarnath. The Prime Minister of India did the inauguration, and the same person who carved the Ayodhya Ram statue, Arun Yogiraj from Mysore city, Arun Yogiraj, he was the one who has carved this 35,000 kg, a 12 feet statue of Adi Shankaracharya at Kedarnath. It was installed by the Honorable Prime Minister of India. So this is about Shankaracharya. And of course, a few months back, I told you, we have the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh installing a 108 feet statue of Adi Shankaracharya. But then in this statue, Shankaracharya is shown as a boy of 12 years because he visited Omkareshwar in Madhya Pradesh when he was just 12 years old. This is about Shankaracharya. And of course, he wrote commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita, the Brahma Sutras, the Upanishads, etc. And he propagated them. He's supposed to have composed the Bhaja Govindam. Bhaja Govindam, a song made very famous by the great Carnatic singer, classical Carnatic singer, M.S. Subbulakshmi. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Mooda Mathe. So this was also one of the favorite bhajans of Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the nation. So this is about Shankaracharya. Are you there with me? And of course, the Kanchi Kamakoti Pitam, and the Sumeru Mata Mata is also supposed to have been established by Adi Shankaracharya. No, what statement, Laghima? I said, what? Can you please be specific, Laghima? I say I was explaining to you Shankara's philosophy. Shankara's philosophy is be very careful of what you feed your mind. Everything is an illusion. So what you tell your mind repeatedly, that is your reality. That can become your reality. Laghima, can you be specific? So that's a song composed by a shloka composed by Adi Shankaracharya, Bhaja Govindam. So that I only gave an example, right? Yes. He derived these concepts from there only, Sumo. Yes, Sakshi, that is true. 40,000. Well, I'll come to the Battle of Khanua. Sakshi, that's the Battle of Khanua. We'll talk about it when I come to Babar. Just hold on. Okay. So this is about Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya. We'll discuss this on your screen. So born at Kaladi in Kerala and died at Kedarnath at the age of 32 years. A follower of Uttar Mimamsa. Then his philosophy is called Kevala Advaita. Shankara says God and his created world are one and the same. God and his creation or created world are one and the same. That's called monism. So he held that you have a soul living in a jiva. It is cycle. It is subject to the cycle of rebirth. That is samsara, and it begins to think. The soul begins to think that whatever it is experiencing through the physical body is an illusion. It is a reality because it is under an illusion. So once a knowledge comes to the soul, then we have moksha. Moksha happens. That's what he said. That's what he said. Shankaracharya. Then he considered Vedas as the fountainhead of true knowledge. All the knowledge is contained in the Vedas. So he wrote commentaries to the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, the Brahma Sutras of Badrayana, propagated them. He recommended Gnana Marga. So please understand, there are three methods to attain moksha. So what is moksha? What is moksha? Moksha is freedom from rebirth. Freedom from rebirth. So what is the meaning of freedom from rebirth? If you are born on this earth, we have to go to the ups and downs of life, whether rich or poor. Whatever you're born has, whether rich or poor, you have to go to the ups and downs of life. Then what is moksha? Freedom from rebirth. You are not born on this earth. You're always in the heaven, enjoying the life in heaven. That is called moksha. Now there are three methods to attain moksha. One is called Gnana Marga. Gnana Marga, that is the path of knowledge. Bhakti Marga, that is the path of devotion. And Karma Marga, that is through deeds. So Gnana Marga through knowledge. Bhakti Marga, like for example in Bhagavatism, you have Bhakti Marga. You win the grace of Krishna, then Krishna will give you anything you want, including moksha. That is called Bhakti Marga. And another method to attain moksha is Karma Marga. If you do good, good things will happen to you. If you do bad, bad things will happen to you. Karma Marga is recommended by Buddhism. Gnana Marga by Hinduism or Vedic religion and Jainism. So Jainism and the Vedic religion, that is Brahmanism, which is now called Hinduism, that believes in Gnana Marga. Bhakti Marga is Bhagavatism. And Karma Marga is the recommended method by Buddhism. Did you understand? Okay, so Gnana Marga, Bhakti Marga, Karma Marga. Right. Then, of course, he established a separate sect called the Smartas. He founded a new sect called the Smartas. So the Smartas worship both Hari and Hara, that is Vishnu and Shiva. They worship Hari Hara, Vishnu and Shiva. So there was an effort to unite the Vaishnavites and the Shaivites by Shankara. So these are the two major sects within Hinduism, isn't it? Shaivism and Vaishnavism. So he recommended worship of both Hari and Hara. So this is the sect established by Adi Shankaracharya as Smartas. Then he established 4 mutts in the 4 corners of India. So you can see here Jyotir Pita in Badrinath, Sringeri, the Sharda Pita in Sringeri, the Govardhana Pita in Puri, and the Kalika Pita in Dwarka in Gujarat. Then the Kamakoti Pitham, the Sumeru Mata Mata also was established by him. So he was greatly influenced by Buddhism. So you please understand, Buddha's, you have a particular thought of the Buddha or a teaching of the Buddha, that is Paticca Samutpada. Paticca Samutpada. Paticca Samutpada, that is, in English, it is called dependent origination. In English, it's called dependent origination. In simple language, it is cause and effect theory. Cause and effect theory. So Buddha spoke about cause and effect theory. What is cause and effect theory? That is, for every effect, there has to be a cause. And for every cause, there is an effect. For every cause, there's an effect and vice versa. So, just as Buddha had spoken about cause and effect theory, Shankara also spoke on similar lines. And therefore, he's called Crypto Buddha. Shankara is also called Crypto Buddha for that reason. Yeah. Dravid, that's a shloka. That's a shlok or a hymn, devotional hymn composed by Adi Shankaracharya, which was one of the favorite bhajans of Mahatma Gandhi. I told you this because Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan was also one of that favorite bhajan was that. Okay, he composed Bhaja Govindam at Kashi. Then I told you he believed that rituals like home, yagna, havan, etc., without being attached to the fruits, those should be performed. That will help to purify the mind and help to develop self-control and mental discipline. So this is the Kedarnath Shiva temple on your screen in Uttarakhand, Kedarnath Shiva temple. Because of the extreme cold, it is open only for 6 months in a year. And in the next 6 months, the idols are brought and kept at Ukhimat and they're worshipped there for 6 months. So here we have the statue which was damaged by the floods in 2013, the Kedarnath flood, and in 2021 we have a new statue which was installed um, um, by the Prime Minister at Kedarnath. The sculptor was Arun Yogiraj. So make that correction, please. It's not Arjun Yogiraj, it is Arun Yogiraj. Arun Yogiraj, the same person who later sculpted the Ram statue at Ayodhya in the Ayodhya temple. So this is 35,000 kg, 12 feet statue of Shankaracharya installed at Kedarnath. Clear? Did you understand, Ankush? Clear? So this is about Shankaracharya, and this is a statue of oneness. Ekatmata ki pratima. Ekatmata ki pratima. Statue of oneness, which was installed at Omkareshwar by the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh a few months back. This is in the Khandwa district of Madhya Pradesh, and Shankaracharya is supposed to have visited this particular place. He accepted Govinda Bhagavat Pada as his guru there, right? And this was installed in September 2023, a few months back. So it depicts Shankaracharya as a 12-year-old child. Okay, so this was in the newspapers and in the current affairs. Therefore, I put it here. Okay, did you understand? Statue of oneness, Ekatmata ki Pratima of Adi Shankaracharya. But he's shown as a 12-year-old boy in the statue. He's shown as a 12-year-old boy. Okay. So then we come to, can we take a small break before because if I start Arab conquest of Sindh, then I'll not be able to finish in 10 minutes. Again, there'll be break in the sequence of the topic, or rather the story. I again have to begin from the beginning. Again, I have to revise, recap, and then continue from there. We're a waste of time. Can we go for early 10, 15 minutes break? This is a weekday class, right? This is a weekday class. I think Monday to Friday class. I don't think there's a class tomorrow. We'll meet at 7:05. Come back at 7:05. Take a break and come back at 7:05. Okay? Carry on. Carry on. 7:05. So we'll start with Arab conquest of Sindh and then go on to the triangular conflict of Kannauj, etc. Good evening, everyone. Can we continue? Good evening once again. Am I audible and visible? Can we continue? Yeah, thank you. Let's continue. So, any doubts regarding Shankaracharya? All clear? Shankaracharya and his philosophy of Advaita and his contribution, etc. All clear? Right. Now, let's continue with the next subtopic of early medieval India, Arab conquest of Sindh. Now, understand this. The Arab conquest of Sindh. (712 AD). Arab conquest of Sindh. Now, as you all know, Islam was born in the early part of the 7th century AD. Understand this? Islam was born in the early part of the 7th century AD. In early part of the early 7th century AD, it was born. And as you all know, the founder is Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad. Now, he was the founder of Islam, Prophet Muhammad, messenger of God, Allah. He called himself as the messenger of God, Allah. Now, once Prophet Muhammad died, we have the Khalifa or Caliph who became the head of Islam. The Khalifa, Caliph or Khalifa. He became the head of Islam, the temporal and spiritual head of Islam, the political and religious leader of Islam. And in course of time, the entire Arabian Peninsula became Islamized. So we have the Arabian Peninsula. So people before Islam were following many tribal religions there. So they were following many tribal religions there. But then in course of time, Islam spread fast and the entire Arabian Peninsula came to be Islamized. That is, came under the influence of Islam. People converted themselves to Islam and they began to follow the tenets of Islam or the rules of Islam. Now, the Khalifa, the Arabs under the leader of the Khalifa had three main aims. Understand this? The Arabs under their leader, the Khalifa, had three main aims. What are the three main aims of the Arabs? One is, number one, to conquer new lands. To conquer new lands. Number two, to spread Islam. To spread Islam. And number three, to expand trade. To expand trade. So basically, they had three main aims: to conquer new lands, to spread Islam, and to expand trade. These are the three main aims of the Arabs. Right? And then we have so when I do world history, because we have a section of world history in the mains. So when I come to the Eastern question, a topic is there called Eastern question. I'll briefly talk about it later as part of world history. You see, we have an aggressive Islam trying to penetrate into Europe. Islam was trying to penetrate into Europe. And European nations were all Christian nations. They used to follow Christianity. So therefore, it resulted in wars between the Muslims and the Christians. And these are called crusades. In the context of European history, they are called crusades. Crusades are holy wars. Crusades or holy wars between the Moors. Holy wars between the Moors and the Christians. Okay, so here we'll come back here. This is the background information. Now, why did the Arabs try to conquer Sindh? Hello? Why did the Arabs conquer Sindh? Why did the Arabs conquer Sindh? Islam was born, Islam was born in the 7th century AD, 622 AD. The exact date is 622 AD. That is the early part of the 7th century AD when Islam was born. Right? Okay, now the question is, uh, why did the Arabs conquer Sindh? Now, this happened in the year 712 AD. On your screen, you see here, this is the map of the then kingdom of Sindh. This is green color, whatever has been highlighted in green. Okay, this is the kingdom of Sindh. Okay, and who was the ruler of this kingdom called Sindh? The ruler was a person called Raja Dahir. His name was Raja Dahir. So the king was Raja Dahir. And he belonged to the Chach dynasty. He belonged to a dynasty called the Chach dynasty. And during those days, majority of the people of Sindh were either Hindus or Buddhists. Most of the people were following these two religions, Hinduism and Buddhism. And the king was this person called Raja Dahir. Now, who was the Khalifa at that point in time? Who was the Khalifa at that point in time? His name was Khalifa Walid. Khalifa Walid. So he was the Caliph Walid. And what was the headquarters of the Khalifa Walid? Baghdad. Baghdad in Iraq. So Baghdad in Iraq was his headquarters. The head Khalifa was Khalifa Walid. Now we are told, understand this, we are told, so I'm coming to the story of the Arab conquest of Sindh. Now focus and understand. Very simple. So it is said that a Sri Lankan king, a king of Sri Lanka, was sending some gifts to the Khalifa Walid. So you have ships from Sri Lanka. They began from Sri Lanka. Some of the ships sent by the king of Sri Lanka, laden with a lot of goodies, treasure, gold, diamond, etc., exotic food, okay, fruits, etc., and some beautiful women. All were being carried in the ships as a gift to the Khalifa Walid. And as these ships were traversing through, imagine this is a ship. These are the ships sent by the king of Sri Lanka, and they are going towards, towards Baghdad. And as they were passing through Sindh, Sindh had a port called Debal. You can see here, this is the port of Debal. Sindh had a port called Debal. So as they were passing through the kingdom of Sindh, the port of Debal, we have the pirates of Sindh. The pirates of Sindh, that is the sea thieves. Even now you have piracy. Recently we have in the Gulf of Oman, etc., where Indian naval personnel rescued a merchant ship. So that was there in the news. So like that, you have pirates who attacked these ships from Sri Lanka, and they looted everything. They looted all those treasures which were on those ships, and they disappeared. Now, the Khalifa Walid came to know about this. Whatever goods had been sent by the king of Sri Lanka were looted by the pirates of Debal, which is a port inside Sindh. And the Khalifa Walid made Raja Dahir responsible for the loss of these goods. He told Raja Dahir, this theft has happened within your jurisdiction. Debal is a port within Sindh, and the pirates of your kingdom have robbed all those luxury goods which were meant for me. Therefore, you pay compensation for it. Raja Dahir refused point blankly. He said, I am no more. I am no more to be. I have nothing to do with whatever happened in the sea, and I cannot be held responsible for the loss of those goods. So Raja Dahir refused to take responsibility for the loss of those goods. Thereupon, we have Khalifa Walid, who had an officer under him. His name was Al-Hajjaj. So Khalifa Walid had an officer called Al-Hajjaj, and he ordered this Al-Hajjaj. So he was an officer under the Khalifa, posted at Baghdad. He ordered Al-Hajjaj to teach a lesson to Raja Dahir. And thereupon, Raja Al-Hajjaj, dispatched his son-in-law by name Muhammad bin Qasim at the head of a large Arab army. So Muhammad bin Qasim he was the son-in-law. He was the son-in-law of Al-Hajjaj. So Al-Hajjaj, with a large Arab army, with Muhammad bin Qasim appointed as the commander of that army, ordered his son-in-law to attack Sindh. So Muhammad bin Qasim attacked Sindh, and we have a battle which was fought, the Battle of Brahmanabad. The Battle of Brahmanabad. In this Battle of Brahmanabad, Raja Dahir was killed. Raja Dahir was killed, and Muhammad bin Qasim conquered Sindh, and he became the master of Lower Sindh. Muhammad bin Qasim married the widow of Raja Dahir. So after killing Raja Dahir, obviously his queen became a widow. Her name was Rani Ladi. So Rani Ladi, I'll use another color, just hold on. Rani Ladi was married by Muhammad bin Qasim. We have a book called Chachnama written by Abu Bakr. So we have a book called Chachnama. Chachnama, written by Abu Bakr. Muhammad bin Abu Bakr Kufi. His full name is Muhammad bin Abu Bakr Kufi. So Abu Bakr, in short, he wrote a book in Persian language. So he's an Arabic. Please understand, he's an Arab, but he wrote it in Persian. So Chachnama, written by Abu Bakr in Persian language, talks about the conquest, the administrative innovations introduced by Muhammad bin Qasim in Lower Sindh. So Muhammad bin Qasim, after conquering Sindh, introduced some administrative changes. All those administrative changes or administrative innovations are found in this book called Chachnama, written by Abu Bakr. And the Arabs ruled over this area, that is the kingdom of Sindh, over a few years. They ruled over Sindh for a few years. Are you clear till here? So I repeat, luxury goods sent as a gift by the king of Sri Lanka on ships were looted by the pirates of Debal, a port in the kingdom of Sindh. So Khalifa Walid ordered Raja Dahir to pay for the loss of those goods. When Raja Dahir refused to take responsibility, the Khalifa Walid ordered his officer Al-Hajjaj to teach a lesson to Raja Dahir. Thereupon, Al-Hajjaj ordered his son-in-law, Muhammad bin Qasim, to attack Sindh. And then with a large army, Muhammad bin Qasim attacked and conquered Sindh. He killed Raja Dahir in the Battle of Brahmanabad and married the widow of Raja Dahir, Rani Ladi. We have a book called Chachnama, written by Abu Bakr, which talks about the administrative innovations introduced in the kingdom of Sindh by Muhammad bin Qasim. And the Arabs ruled over the kingdom of Sindh for a few years. Right, then. Now what happened? What are the various changes brought about by the Arabs inside Sindh? Now, so I told you the population of Sindh during those days were either Hindus or Buddhists. They were either Hindus or Buddhists. Muhammad bin Qasim told the people of Sindh that as your new ruler, I will give you protection. That is my duty, to give you protection. But since you are following a totally different religion other than Islam, you have to pay a penalty tax. He asked them to pay a penalty tax because the Arabs realized that by force, they could not have converted the entire population of Sindh to Islam. One of the reasons I told you, one of the aims of the Arabs was to spread Islam. Here, they saw that the population of Sindh during those days consisted of either Hindus or Buddhists. And by force, they couldn't have converted the entire population of Sindh into Islam. So they devised a very novel method to convert the people of Sindh. They told the people of Sindh that since you are following a totally alien religion other than Islam, you have to pay a penalty tax called jizya. So we have a tax called jizya, which was imposed on the non-Muslim population of Sindh. So here, as Brahmins were exempted from the payment of this tax. And please understand, this tax, jizya, was collected as part of the land tax. Kharaj jizya. Kharaj is the land tax. And jizya was the tax imposed on non-Muslims in a Muslim kingdom. So kara, it was collected as part of the land tax, kharaj jizya, and Brahmins were exempted, including children and women. Women, children, slaves were exempted, including Brahmins, from the payment of this tax. Now, Muhammad bin Qasim, who became the king of the kingdom of Sindh, he divided this kingdom amongst his various officers. So various governors were assigned certain territories within the kingdom of Sindh. So here we have many Indian farmers who came to work on those lands, which had been assigned to these Arab governors. And all sorts of atrocities were committed by the Arab governors on the people of Sindh. So they were these farmers, Hindu farmers, Buddhist farmers, were tortured, exploited by the Arab governors to the hilt. So this is the Arab conquest of Sindh. Now, please understand what is the reason as to why the Arabs abandoned Sindh and went away. So they came, they conquered Sindh. I told you how it happened. Now let us understand, why did the Arabs lose interest over Sindh? And why did the Arabs abandon Sindh and go away? Now, Al-Hajjaj died. Understand this? Al-Hajjaj died. Al-Hajjaj was the father-in-law of Muhammad bin Qasim. So at Iraq, Al-Hajjaj died. And we have a new Khalifa who comes to power. Khalifa Walid also died, and you have a new Khalifa who came to power. Now, this new Khalifa, he withdrew, he recalled Muhammad bin Qasim from Sindh. He told Muhammad bin Qasim to come back from Sindh. So as soon as Muhammad bin Qasim came to Baghdad to meet the new Khalifa ordered his arrest and got him imprisoned and put him in prison. So Muhammad bin Qasim was imprisoned and jailed by the new Khalifa. The question is why? Why did Muhammad bin Qasim, why was he jailed by the new Khalifa? Now, we are told, understand this, everything is not important from the exam point of view. Just understand the entire story. What is important from the exam point of view, I'll tell you to remember later. Okay, now we'll come back here. Now, we are told that Raja Dahir and Rani Ladi had two daughters. They had two daughters. One is Surya Devi, and Parimala Devi. So these are the two daughters of Raja Dahir and Rani Dadi. So once Raja Dahir was killed and Sindh was conquered by Muhammad bin Qasim, these two daughters of Raja Dahir and Rani Ladi, had been sent as a gift to the Khalifa. They had been sent to Baghdad as a gift to the Khalifa. And these two daughters of Raja Dahir told the new Khalifa that before being sent as a gift, Muhammad bin Qasim had molested them. So when the new Khalifa came to know about this, that these two girls had been molested before being sent as a gift to him, he got very, very angry with Muhammad bin Qasim. So Muhammad bin Qasim was recalled from Sindh, and the new Khalifa got him arrested and put in prison. And he was ordered to be put in prison. And the new Khalifa lost interest over Sindh. Why did he lose interest over Sindh? Because Sindh was a desert land. Understand this? Sindh was a desert. All the essentials which are required on a daily basis had to be brought from Baghdad, from Iraq. So it was easy to conquer Sindh, but difficult to maintain control over Sindh because it had no resources. It was a desert area. Therefore, the Arabs soon lost interest over Sindh. What did they try to do? They tried to expand beyond Sindh. Arabs tried to expand beyond Sindh. They tried to conquer territories beyond Sindh. But then we have the formidable Rashtrakutas. You have the Rashtrakutas, the successors of the Badami Chalukyas. The successors of the Badami Chalukyas were the Rashtrakutas and the Pratiharas. So they did not allow the Arabs to expand beyond Sindh. They defeated the Arabs. So therefore, the Arabs lost interest. They left Sindh, they abandoned Sindh and went away, and they never came back. Did you understand? This is the story of the Arab conquest of Sindh. No, it was not Walid. No, it was not Walid. It was the successor of Walid who gave death penalty to who got Muhammad bin Qasim imprisoned. They were supposed to be the daughters of Raja Dahir, Surya Devi, Parimala Devi were supposed to be the daughters of Raja Dahir and Rani Ladi. Did you understand? Now, what is important from the exam point of view? From the exam point of view, just remember the effect of the Arab conquest of Sindh. What is the effect of the Arab conquest of Sindh? I'll tell you the effect now. Understand this. What is the effect? Effect of the Arab conquest of Sindh. Number one, we have Sanskrit books. Sanskrit books on medicine, mathematics. Sanskrit books on medicine, mathematics. These were translated into Arabic language. They were translated to Arabic. The Holy Quran was translated into Sindhi language. The Holy Quran was translated into Sindhi language. Holy Quran is an Arabic language. It was translated to Sindhi language. This is number one. Number two, the Arab leather workers. You have the Arab leather workers. They taught the Sindhi leather tanners. You have the Sindhi leather tanners, the leather tanners of Sindh. They taught them the technique of tanning soft leather, and the leather products of Sindh began to fetch a high price in the foreign markets after that. So Arab leather workers taught the technique of tanning soft leather to the leather tanners of Sindh, and the leather products of Sindh began to fetch a high price in the foreign markets. This is number two. Number three is you have a novel tax called jizya. Jizya was imposed on the non-Muslim population of Sindh. Non-Muslim population of Sindh had to pay a penalty tax called jizya. And as I told you, it was collected as part of the land tax, Kharaj jizya. It was not imposed as a separate tax. It had to be paid as part of the land tax. This is number third. Number fourth is you have Muhammad bin Qasim who assigned lands. He assigned lands or fiefs. He assigned fiefs or lands to many of his governors. Many Arab governors were given lands in the kingdom of Sindh, and these lands were worked by Indian farmers. And the plight of the Indian farmers became miserable. The plight of the Indian farmers became miserable because all sorts of atrocities were committed by the Arab governors on them. We have also people of Sindh who were reduced to slavery. Understand this? You have youngsters, young boys were taken as slaves. They were taken captives, and they were sold in the slave markets of Central and West Asia. So women were also taken captive. Women, children, and the able-bodied men were all taken captive and sold by the Arabs in the various slave markets of Baghdad and Central Asia. So even 1/20th, that is, 20% of the war booty was sent to the Khalifa. Whatever was looted from Sindh, including the the trafficking of humans, 20% was sent to the Khalifa at Baghdad, and the rest were distributed amongst the various governors. So this is the Arab conquest of Sindh, the impact of the Arab conquest of Sindh. Lane Poole, a British historian, says that the Arab conquest of Sindh was a fantastic conquest, but without any results. It was a great conquest, but without any results. This is about the Arab conquest of Sindh. Did you understand? This is a story. So you have why did the Sri Lankan king send a gift to the Khalifa? Because you have a sizable to develop diplomatic contacts. Because Arabs used to also come to Sri Lanka to pick up spices and sell goods, etc. So you have a sizable Muslim population also in Sri Lanka on the coastline. So here the Sri Lankan king probably wanted to develop diplomatic connections with the Khalifa Walid, right? That is the main reason. Arabs came to the Kerala coast. In fact, Islam was introduced in India by the Arabs first in the Kerala coast. The oldest mosque in India is in Kerala. It is called Cheruman Juma. Cheruman Juma Cheraman Juma is the oldest mosque in India. It is in Kerala. So before Islam came to North India, it was already there in Kerala. It was brought to India by the Arab merchants who came to trade and pick up spices, cotton, textiles from India. No, it was part of their policy, Ankush. It was not anything, nothing to. It was their aim was to spread Islam. So it's a proselytizing religion. Conversion was part of Islam. uh, you know, isn't it? Conversion or it is a proselytizing religion. That is, where there is an effort to convert people to Islam. Okay, we'll come back here on your screen. Arab conquest of Sindh. So please remember who was the king. Raja Dahir was the king. What is the book which gives information about the history of Sindh? Chach Nama, written by Abu Bakr. That is important. Remember that. Then remember the effect of the Arab conquest of Sindh. Whatever story I told you is not important. Daughters, Surya Devi, Parimala Devi, all that is not important. Even if you forget it, doesn't matter. Remember the name of the Khalifa Walid, right? And the effect of the Arab conquest of Sindh. That is more important, not the story per se. But it is good to know the entire story. Okay, we'll come back here. Let us discuss the PPT. Muhammad bin Qasim, he was the one who conquered Sindh in 712 AD. Sindh was ruled by Raja Dahir of the Chach dynasty, and Chachnama is the book written by Abu Bakr. It is written in Persian language, not in Arabic language. Remember that. It is in Persian language. And how it happened, I told you, precious gifts were being sent by the king of Sri Lanka to the Khalifa Walid, and they were robbed by the pirates of Debal port. And thereafter, Al-Hajjaj made Dahir responsible for this. When he refused to pay compensation for the loss of those goods, we have Muhammad bin Qasim, the son-in-law of Al-Hajjaj. Still his son-in-law, so don't get confused, son-in-law. So son-in-law of Al-Hajjaj, Muhammad bin Qasim, he attacked Sindh, conquered Sindh, and killed Raja Dahir in the Battle of Brahmanabad. He married Dahir's widow, Rani Ladi, right? And we have a tax called Jizya, which was imposed on the people of Sindh, on the non-Muslim population of Sindh. And Brahmins were exempted from the payment of this tax called Jizya. They were the educated sections, the Brahmins. So therefore, the Arabs who had respect for the educated sections of India, the priestly classes, they exempted the Brahmins from the payment of Jizya. So please remember that part. So what is the why Arab conquer? Why Arabs failed to build a permanent empire in India? One is Qasim was recalled by the new Khalifa and he was imprisoned. So that is one thing. He never appointed any other person as the governor of Sindh. So the administrative apparatus in Sindh collapsed like a pack of cards because no new governor was appointed in the place of Muhammad bin Qasim, but the new Khalifa. Then Sindh was a desert land, so it was not resourceful to continue to rule over Sindh. Easy to conquer, difficult to maintain. All the essentials had to be brought from Baghdad. So therefore, the Arabs lost interest. They tried to expand beyond Sindh, conquer areas beyond Sindh, but the Rashtrakutas, Pratiharas also did not allow them to do it. They were much more stronger than the Arabs. And I told you yesterday's class, Avani Jashraya Pulakeshi. Remember Avani Jashraya Pulakeshi? He was the feudatory of the Chalukyas of Badami in southern Gujarat. So during the time of Vikramaditya II, we have the Arabs trying to penetrate into southern Gujarat, but Avani Jashraya Pulakeshi, who was the feudatory of the Chalukyas of Badami, defeated the Arabs. And later, even the Rashtrakutas and the Pratiharas defeated the Arabs. Do you remember that part, yesterday's class? Clear? Did you understand that part? So, yesterday's class, Avani Jashraya Pulakeshi. So, please refer to my notes. So here, right? So, that part you remember. Then we come back here. What is the effect of Arab rule? Books, Sanskrit books on astronomy, medicine, even mathematics were translated into Arabic language. The Holy Quran was translated into Sindhi language. Arab leather workers trained the Sindhi tanners in the art of tanning soft leather. Later, you have a high price which was received by the leather products of Sindh. Then large jagirs were given to Arab governors by Muhammad bin Qasim. They were worked by Indian farmers and their plight became miserable. I told you that. Then, of course, a special tax called jizya was imposed. It was part of the land tax, Kharaj jizya, and it exposed the weakness of Indian rulers. So, outsiders came to know that it is easy to defeat Indian rulers. This is another impact. So, Lane Poole, a British historian, says the Arab invasion of Sindh was a great triumph without results. It was a great triumph without any results. That's what he says. So I've given you a note here. Uh, this was in the newspapers. So here, please understand. Whenever I have given a yellow background, you like this. There's a yellow background which I have put in my PPTs. That is for extra information. That is extra information for clarity to the student. So when you read this, you will get extra information, and much more things become clearer. Things become much more clearer with this. So purposely, I have given a yellow background. So here we have a person called Andre Wink. He writes a book, Al-Hind, The Making of the Indo-Islamic World. So this was in the newspapers. So in that, he says that many of the women, children, able-bodied men, youngsters like you people, they were all captured and reduced to slavery by the Arabs, and they were sold in the slave markets of West Asia, including Baghdad. And 20% of the spoils went to the Khalifa. 1/5 of the slaves and spoils were set apart for the Caliph's treasury. So 20% went to the Khalifa, the rest were all distributed amongst the various governors. Right? So that is there. This is about the Arab conquest of Sindh. Clear? Now let us come to another topic, the triangular conflict for Kannauj. The tripartite struggle for Kannauj, or the triangular conflict for Kannauj. Can I go to the next topic? Clear? Can I go to the next topic? Okay. So here you can see the map here on your screen. You see this map here on your screen? Becomes very easy to understand. So we have three powerful dynasties, three powerful empires who vied with each other, competed with each other for domination over Kannauj. So where is Kannauj? Kannauj is here. UP. Kannauj in UP, present day Uttar Pradesh. And Kannauj became the most precious city, coveted city in early medieval India. And Kannauj had replaced Pataliputra. Pataliputra, that is modern day Patna, it had lost its place to Kannauj. Harsha had made Kannauj his capital. Remember yesterday's class, in the very first year of his reign, he had shifted the capital from Sthaneshwar in Haryana to Kannauj. So Kannauj became the most precious city. And whoever ruled from Kannauj was considered to be the paramount ruler of North and Central India. And three powerful empires began to fight or compete with each other for domination over Kannauj. The Palas of Bengal, on your screen. The Palas ruled over Eastern India. You can see this is the Pala area. Palas ruled over Eastern India, Bihar, Bengal, Orissa, Assam, parts of Assam, etc. They began to rule this area. Palas. Then the Pratiharas, or also called Gurjara Pratiharas. North, central, parts of central and western India were ruled by the Gurjara Pratiharas in green color. So they are shown in green color in this map. This is the area ruled by the Gurjara Pratiharas and the Rashtrakutas. They ruled South India, present day Maharashtra, Karnataka, parts of central India, including Gujarat, were ruled by the Rashtrakutas. So three powerful dynasties began to compete with each other for domination over Kannauj. So what are the reasons for this conflict for Kannauj? The three dynasties competing with each other to establish their supremacy over Kannauj, the tripartite struggle for Kannauj. So various causes are there, apart from the prestige issue of ruling from Kannauj. So on your screen, first of all, supremacy over Kannauj. So it was whichever dynasty was able to conquer Kannauj and rule from Kannauj was considered to be the supreme power in India, in North and Central India, the most powerful entity, political entity in North and Central India. And all these three kingdoms or dynasties wanted to get that tag for themselves. So there was a prestige issue involved, supremacy over Kannauj. Second, rich resources of the Gangetic Valley. So we have the Ganga Valley on your screen. You can see this is the Ganga Valley, this area. So rich in, rich in fertile. You have fertile belt of land, and whichever king brings that area under his control, he can collect taxes from the farmers. You can grow 2 to 3 crops in a year, 2 to 3 crops in a year, in the Gangetic Valley. So after every harvest, the king can collect land revenue from the farmers. So more money will come into his coffers, into his treasury. So this is number one. Number two is, of course, you have trade routes to the northeast passing through this area. You see here on your screen, trade routes to the northeast passing through this area. So they can collect taxes, custom duties from the merchants and traders. Custom duties can be collected from the merchants. So these two reasons made it very, very strategic. It was important to conquer this area for these two reasons. Okay, Ganga Valley, land revenue and also custom duties, which could be collected from the merchants and traders passing through this territory towards the northeast. Right, this is number two. Third is rich resources of the area between Banaras and South Bihar. On your screen, you can see here Banaras to South Bihar. So this area, Banaras to South Bihar, you have iron ore resources and also access to the ocean. Banaras to South Bihar, rich in iron ore, right? And also access to the ocean. So through which international trade took place. International trade took place. If you bring that area under your control, you have access to the Bay of Bengal. So Banaras to South Bihar became the bone of contention. Apart from land revenue, you have rich iron ore resources available in this area. So whichever king brings that area under his control, he can have access to the iron ore mines, with which he can have a stronger army. He can equip his army with iron weapons, iron tools and implements could be made for agricultural purpose. So that will facilitate deeper plowing. So all these things had an advantage. So this area, Banaras to South Bihar, became a bone of contention between the Palas and the Pratiharas. They began to fight over this area between Banaras and South Bihar. Are you there with me? So rich resources of the area between Banaras and South Bihar. Then control over fertile areas of Gujarat and Malwa. You see here on your screen, Gujarat and Malwa. So Gujarat and Malwa became the bone of contention between the Gujarat and Malwa. So this area, Aparanta coast, you see, Gujarat and Malwa, this area became the bone of contention between the Pratiharas and the Rashtrakutas. So Rashtrakutas and Pratiharas fought over this area. Control over fertile area between Gujarat and Malwa. Again, I repeat the same thing, land revenue, which they can collect from the farmers, rich belt of land in the Konkan area, right? So they can grow 2 to 3 crops in a year. Then custom duties could be collected from the traders and merchants who used to use the Arabian Sea for international trade. So custom duties could be collected from them, right? So because of this reason, Gujarat and Malwa became the bone of contention between the Rashtrakutas and the Pratiharas. Further, we have lust for booty. So whichever king is able to defeat his adversary, he will plunder and loot that kingdom, and he'll bring rich booty. That is, rich war booty. Loot is called booty. Lust for booty or loot, right? And of course, desire to win laurels. Praises. Laurels are praise. So his samantas, feudatories, the king's samantas, and the princes, etc., they will governors, they will all praise the king if he's able to score victories over other kingdoms. So for all these reasons, Kannauj became the bone of contention between these three powerful kingdoms. The Palas of Bengal, the Palas who ruled eastern India, the Pratiharas of Madhya Pradesh, and the Rashtrakutas of Karnataka. Palas, Pratiharas, Rashtrakutas. Remember this. This is called triangular conflict for Kannauj, or the tripartite struggle for Kannauj. No, basically the Rashtrakutas, of course, you have also desired to rule from Kannauj. All these three dynasties desire to rule from Kannauj. Okay. Apart from that, these were certain strategic areas where they specifically focused upon. Banaras to South Bihar became the bone of contention between the Palas, Pratiharas. Gujarat and Malwa areas became the bone of contention between the Rashtrakutas and Pratyaras. But if the Rashtrakutas manage to defeat the Palas, they will also have gain access to other areas of the Palas, other resources of the Palas, or other strategic areas over which the Palas held control. Clear? So, Eastern Chalukyas, Bhimare, Eastern Chalukyas or the Vengi Chalukyas ruled over east coast of Andhra. I told you, na, Kubja Vishnuvardhana established this Vengi Chalukya kingdom, and they ruled for about 450 years. Bhimare, I have answered your question. So Eastern Chalukyas were the most prominent dynasty ruling that area in present-day Andhra. Okay, so let us talk about each of these dynasties. Rashtrakutas, first of all, I begin with Rashtrakutas. Then we'll discuss about the Pratiharas and the Palas and the Senas. So first of all, Rashtrakutas. Rashtrakutas. So remember yesterday's class. Again, I reiterate this. Yesterday's class, we have the Chalukyas and the Pallavas. So Chalukyas of Badami. Again, I'm repeating this. This is for clarity purpose, nothing else. Chalukyas of Badami and the Pallavas of Kanchipuram. Pallavas of Kanchipuram. They fought over the Krishna Tungabhadra basin, the KT basin. I put it in short, KT basin, Krishna Tungabhadra basin, also called the Raichur Doab. Also called the Raichur Doab. Constant conflict between these two kingdoms weakened both of them. So they became weak because of constantly fighting against each other. That resulted in the Chalukyas of Badami succeeded by the Rashtrakutas. So Rashtrakutas were the feudatories under the Chalukyas of Badami. So the Rashtrakutas succeeded the Badami Chalukyas, Rashtrakutas. Then the Pallavas were succeeded by the Cholas. So Rashtrakutas and Cholas also fought against each other. Then constant conflict weakened both of them. So the Rashtrakutas were succeeded by the Kalyana Chalukyas. The Kalyana Chalukyas. So Kalyana Chalukyas were under the Rashtrakutas as Samantas or feudatories. The Cholas were succeeded by the Pandyas. Right? And ultimately, Kalyana Chalukya kingdom got divided into three parts because of they became weak in course of time. We have the Yadavas, the Hoysalas, and the Kakatiyas. Right? So keep this in mind, this picture in your mind, because we'll be discussing as part of early medieval India Rashtrakutas. Yesterday we have discussed Chalukya Pallava conflict. Right? Today we'll be discussing Rashtrakutas, and later subsequently we'll be discussing about Kalyana Chalukyas, Yadavas, Hoysalas, Kakatiyas, Pandyas, Cholas, etc. Right? So we'll come to the Rashtrakutas. They were the ones who succeeded the Badami Chalukyas, the Chalukyas of Badami, the Rashtrakutas. So please understand, the Rashtrakutas were of Kannada origin. They brought major parts of present-day Maharashtra, Karnataka under their control, and also southern Gujarat. They also conquered parts of southern Gujarat, central India, and also knocked their doors on North India. They were great warriors, and their army, like the Chalukyan army, was called Karnatabala. The Rashtrakuta army was also called Karnatabala. So we have major powers in North India during those days, like the Pratiharas or the Gurjara Pratiharas, then the Palas of Bengal, and also their feudatories. They were all defeated by the Rashtrakutas. The Rashtrakutas also defeated the Pallavas and later the Cholas. So we have great kings under the Rashtrakutas, like Krishna the first, Indra the third, Govinda the third. Then, of course, the greatest of the Rashtrakuta kings, Amogavarsha Nrupatunga, also called Sarva, who ruled for 64 years. So they were great warriors. And we have under Govinda the third, we are told, that he was able to conquer North India. Even Indra the third conquered North India by defeating major powers of North India. And the Karnataka army, the Rashtrakuta army, he said, the Sanjan plates. We have the copper plate inscription, copper plates of Amogavarsha, which have been discovered near Nasik in Maharashtra, at a place called Sanjan. So it's called the Sanjan copper plate near Nasik in Maharashtra. So we are told that the horses of Govinda III, quenched their thirst from the icy waters of the Himalayas, and his elephants bathed in them. So like that, they are praised, because of their great military achievements. And their army was called Karnatabala. So here the Kannada literature, Kannada language and literature flourished under the Rashtrakutas. Most of the Rashtrakuta kings were Jains. They patronized Jainism. But then, of course, they were tolerant towards other religions. In the Sahyadri Mountains, that is in the Western Ghats, they dug up 34 caves. 34 caves were scooped out or carved out. And these caves were dedicated to Hindu gods, both Vishnu and Shiva, and also to Brahmanism and Jainism. So they patronize all these three religions: Hinduism, Buddhism, as well as Jainism. A number of Arabs were appointed as governors by the Rashtrakuta kings, and these Arab governors testify to the fact that the Rashtrakuta kings were very, very tolerant, because they allowed the Arabs to practice their religion freely. They also allowed them to build mosques, and many of the Arabs were appointed as governors in the Rashtrakuta kingdom. The greatest of the Rashtrakuta rulers was Amogavarsha Rupatunga. We'll talk about him in some time. So this is the gist of the Rashtrakuta story. They were of Kannada origin, and their mother tongue was Kannada. Right. So here they were feudatories of the Badami Chalukyas. The term Rashtrakuta, it refers to territorial divisions called Rashtras. So it refers to officials in charge of territorial divisions called Rashtras. They originally belonged to Latalura, that is modern Latur, which is in present-day Maharashtra. They were of Kannada origin. Their mother tongue was Kannada, and they patronized Jainism. Their capital was Manyakheta. So initial capital was Ellora. So Ellora it is now in present-day Maharashtra. So initial capital of the Rashtrakutas was Ellora. Later, they shifted the capital to Manyakheta or Malkhed. Malkhed, also called Manyakheta. Manyakheta. So this is on the banks of the river Kagina. This is on the banks of the river Kagina in the Kalaburgi district of Karnataka. In the Kalaburgi, what's earlier called Gulbarga, now it is called Kalaburgi. So it is located in the Kalaburgi district of Karnataka. The Malkhed or Manyakheta on the banks of the river Kagina. Nagavi Yellamma was their family deity. Yellamma, Nagavi Yellamma. Nagavi was a town where there was a Gatikasthana, or a college was established by the Rashtrakuta kings there at a place called Nagavi. I have given a note on this. This was in the newspapers. So please understand, we study how do you approach history, whether it's ancient or medieval or modern or whatever it is. You understand the traditional history, the conventional history which is there in the textbooks. Once you understand the conventional history which is there in the textbooks, you keep your eye on the current affairs, whatever is there in the news. And whenever you have a newspaper snippet with respect to any part of history or art and culture, you accordingly put it in the relevant section. Okay, for example, Nagavi, a place called Nagavi, which is again found in the Kalaburgi district of Karnataka, was in the news a few months back. There, Ghatikasthana, Ghatika is a college or a university, has been found there according to archaeological sources. So, and there was also a library there. 200 to 300 students used to study in the Nagavi Ghatikasthana, and it has been compared with the Kanchi Ghatikasthana. So in Kanchipuram in Tamil Nadu, under the Pallavas, you have a college. So just as the Kanchi Ghatikasthana was very, very popular, the Nagavi Ghatikasthana was also very, very popular, I believe. So this was there in the news. I have added that in the relevant section. So, so my PPTs keep on changing depending upon the batches. For example, what you are reading is different, and what maybe after 2 or 3 batches, if they see my PPT, some things may be added in case there is some news in the newspapers. So I keep on doing that. What I am requesting you to do is, you please do that. Once this syllabus gets over, once the classes are over, don't stop your preparation. Keep updating your current affairs, and whatever is there in the newspapers and magazines, you add it to your relevant section. That's what I'm trying to tell. Okay, so you come back here. So Nagavi Yellamma was their family goddess, and in the Sahyadri mountains, they dug up 34 rock-cut caves. Okay, and these are dedicated to all the three religions, Buddhism, Jainism, and Hinduism. Okay. Right. So let us look at the important kings. Danti Durga. Danti Durga was the founder. As you all know, he was serving as a feudatory under the Badami Chalukyan king, Kirtivarman II. So he found an opportunity. He found Kirtivarman II weak. So he killed him. He overthrew Kirtivarman II and he asserted the independence of the Rashtrakutas. So he captured the throne. So he was the one who killed Kirtivarman II of the Badami Chalukyas. And he built two cave temples in the Sahyadri mountains in the Western Ghats. One is dedicated to Vishnu, that is the Dashavatara cave. Dasha Avatara, Vishnu, 10 incarnations of Vishnu. Dasha Avatara. Did you understand? Das Avatar, 10 avatars of Vishnu. So this cave is called Dashavatara, dedicated to Vishnu. And Ravana Kakhai. This is a Shiva cave at Ellora. So at Ellora, we have two caves built by or dug up by, ordered to be dug up by Danti Durga, the founder of the Rashtrakuta kingdom, Ravana Kakhai. And he also performed the Hiranyagarbha Yaga after defeating the king of Malwa. So after defeating the Gurjaras, he conquered Malwa. Malwa captured the kingdom of the Malwas. That is, Gurjaras were ruling over Malwa. And he performed a Hiranyagarbha Yaga. Hiranyagarbha Yaga is performed to commemorate a victory. Commemorate is celebrate. So when you commemorate a victory, or commemoration is celebrating. Another word for celebrating is commemorating. So to celebrate this victory over the Gurjaras, he performed the Hiranyagarbha Yaga. Did you understand? Commemoration, commemorate is celebrating. This is Danti Durga. Now we have another king, the next important king, Krishna the First. So you see here, we have a statue here, or rather a sculpture here in one of the caves at Ellora. It's called Ravana Anugraha Murti. Ravana shaking Mount Kailasa. So this has been depicted in the form of a sculpture. So let me tell you the story of Ravana Anugraha Murti. So can I tell you the story? If you can raise your hands, Ravana Anugraha Murti. This is to break the monotony. Okay, make the class interesting. Some masala is added so that you also like it. Okay, we'll come back here. So what is the story? Okay, so you are attending second time, Ankush. You're attending the second time, is it? You heard the story or you read it from somewhere else? Okay. So previous slide is this, Pari. Okay, now listen to the story. So you can see here, Shiva is with his wife Parvati. Okay, this is Shiva is with his wife Parvati. And down below, you have Ravana trying to lift Mount Kailas. So what is the story about? Let us understand the story. So the story goes like this. You have Ravana. So Ravana looted Alaka. So there was a kingdom called Alaka. Understand this? Very interesting. So he looted the kingdom of Alaka. Kingdom Alaka. The kingdom Alaka belonged to his stepbrother. Who was Ravana's stepbrother? Kuber, god of wealth. Kuber is the god of wealth. God of wealth, Kuber. So he looted the kingdom of Kuber, that is Alaka, and with a lot of wealth, he had dumped all the wealth on his plane. So those days, aeroplane, Ravana's private plane, Pushpaka Viman. Pushpaka Vimana. Shaped like a peacock. So this was, private aircraft, okay, a chartered aircraft of Ravana. So it is Pushpaka Vimana with all the wealth. He is coming back, flying back to Lanka. Okay, he's flying back to Lanka, Pushpaka Vimana, and he was trying to fly over Mount Kailas. Mount Kailas, as you all know, is the headquarters of Shiva and Parvati. So according to mythology, Shiva and Parvati reside in Mount Kailas. So he was trying to fly over Mount Kailas, and how much ever he tried to fly over Mount Kailas, he was not able to. His aircraft was not able to, pass over Mount Kailas. So he got fed up because he had tried to fly over Mount Kailas. So he landed at the base of Mount Kailas, who Ravana. And then he met Nandi. Nandi is the dwarf bull of Shiva. Dwarf bull, isn't it? Dwarf bull of Shiva. The Shiva's mount, vehicle, Nandi. And Ravana told Nandi, Nandi tried to fly over Mount Kailas and I was not able to. What is the reason for that? So Nandi got very angry with Ravana, I believe. So Nandi told, reprimanded Ravana. He shouted at Ravana, told Ravana, don't you know this is a no-fly zone? This is a no-fly zone. Nobody can fly over Mount Kailas because this is the uh, abode of Lord Shiva and Parvati. So this is a no-fly zone. How dare you try to fly over it? So Ravana got now very angry with Nandi. Okay, why? Because this dwarf bull had spoken to him rudely. So Ravana began to tease Nandi, I believe. He began to tease Nandi. And Nandi now got very angry. So Nandi is supposed to have cursed now Ravana. He told Ravana, let your death be caused by monkeys. This is the curse given by Nandi to Ravana. Let your death be because of monkeys. So now Ravana got very angry with Nandi. So without any provocation, Ravana, took his real form. So Ravana, according to tradition, he had 10 heads, isn't it, and 20 arms. So he took his real form, and then he tried to lift Mount Kailas. And Shiva and Parvati were sitting on the Kailas mountain, and they were having a private chat, husband and wife, having a pleasant chit chat. And suddenly, the Mount Kailas began to shake. And Shiva knew who this culprit was, who was responsible for this Mount Kailas shaking vigorously. And Parvati got very scared. Shiva's wife, Parvati, got very scared. And Shiva, you can see in the sculpture, he has put his hand around her waist. So he has put his hand around his wife's waist and he's assuring Parvati not to be afraid. And Shiva wanted to teach a lesson to Ravana. So what he did is, with his right feet, you can see his right foot, he added some extra pressure on Mount Kailas. So Ravana, who was trying to lift Mount Kailas, could not take the extra load which had been exerted by Shiva on Mount Kailas. So he sank to the earth. You can see here, he has sunk to the earth. So here his feet have sunk because he is not able to carry the extra load of Mount Kailas. Right. So here he got stuck up now. He's not able to lift Mount Kailas and neither he can release Mount Kailas. And his ministers, Ravana's ministers, came running, I believe. And they advised their king and told their king, Sir, it is your mistake. Husband and wife Shiva and Parvati were minding their business and having a pleasant chit chat. Why did you disturb them? It is your mistake. Therefore, you better seek pardon from Shiva. So Ravana understood that, uh, it is his mistake for annoying Shiva and Parvati. And I believe what Ravana did is he cut off one of his head. He cut off one of his heads, and then he removed the nerves and sinews from his body. Some nerves and sinews or muscle fibers he removed from his body. Sinew is muscle fiber, and he cut off one of his head and he attached that nerves and sinews to that head, and he made a veena out of it. It's called Rudra Veena. And he composed the shloka, hymn called, he composed extemporally the shloka called, what is that called, shloka? The shloka he composed, Shiva Tandava Stotram. So he began to play the Shiva Tandava Stotram. So these are the circumstances in which Ravana sang this song, Shiva Tandava Stotram, in an extempore manner. And he sang this song for 1,000 years. If you go on YouTube, some of you, if you're interested, you can type Shiva Tandava Stotram of Ravana and you'll get that song. If you're interested, you can listen to it. So this is in pure Sanskrit. And you have an English translation of that song also. This is in praise of Shiva. So this was composed supposedly by Ravana in pure Sanskrit. And he sang this hymn for 1,000 years. At the end of 1,000 years, I believe, Shiva appeared before Ravana. And he pardoned Ravana. And Ravana is supposed to have sought the blessings of Shiva. He asked Shiva to pardon him, excuse him for his misdemeanor, and told Shiva that he would always like to be with him. He wants Shiva to always be with him. As a result, Shiva granted him another linga. This is called Atma Linga. So he gave him an Atma Linga as a gift and told Ravana, at any cost, never keep this Atma Linga on the ground. But then, there's another story around this Atma Linga. The gods conspired along with Ganesh, Shiva's son Ganesh, and then they saw to it that Ravana drops the Atmalinga onto the ground. The Atmalinga was put on the ground because of by Ganesh. That's another story. Did you understand? So after 1,000 years, I told you, he sang this song for 1,000 years, Shiva Tandava Stotram, and at the end of 1,000 years, Shiva appeared and pardoned Ravana, and he granted the Atmalinga as a reward. So that is the story. This is what is depicted in one of the sculptures at Ellora. Ravana shaking Mount Kailas. This is called Ravana Anugraha Murti. Right? Fine. Then we have one Rashtrakuta king called Krishna the First. Has anybody been to Ellora here? Yeah. Thank you, Ankush. That's how it goes. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Has anybody been to Ellora? Nobody? Now, when you get a chance, please visit Ellora. It's about 100 kilometers from Ajanta, Ellora. So here, okay, Gaurav is from Ellora. Great. Now look here. We have a mountain there. Imagine this. There was a mountain there. Entire mountain has been carved into a temple. And this is supposed to be the greatest monolithic temple in the world. This is the greatest rock cut temple in the world. This is the greatest rock cut temple in the world. This is called the Kailasa temple at Ellora. This was built by Krishna the First. On your screen, you can see I put a picture. Entire mountain has been carved into a temple. My request to you, all of you, is whoever has not gone to Ellora, doesn't matter. When you get a time, when you find the time, you go there, right? You go on YouTube. And you type Kailasa temple at Ellora. You get some videos. After the class, you will watch those videos. You will be amazed at the size of this temple. Entire mountain has been carved into a temple from top to down. You can see here, I put a picture. And there are some stupid commentary in some of the videos. So don't take those commentaries seriously, because these commentary is given by Europeans, foreigners. They say this is the work of spirits. There are spirits underneath this temple, and they were the ones who made this temple. Because they cannot make it, they think nobody else can make it. So don't take those commentaries seriously by these European commentators. So minus that, you see the videos. It is great. So this is supposed to be the work of, it has taken 6 to 7 generations of workers. It took 100 to 150 years to make this one temple, and 1 million metric tons of rock have been removed. 1 million metric tons of rock has been removed. In other words, Rashtrakutas did not build anything new. Whatever they did not want it, they removed that. So whatever they did not want, they removed it, and the end result is a temple. So this is what it is. What they did not want, they removed it, and that's a temple. The result is a temple. So 1 million metric tons of rock has been removed. 100 to 150 years it has taken to build one temple. 6 to 7 generations of workers have worked on this temple. This is in honor of Shiva. This has been dedicated to Lord Shiva. So it is the rock cut monolithic temple. Temple number 16, greatest rock cut temple in the world. And this is considered to be one of the wonders of the world. This is one of the wonders of the world. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It was built by Krishna the First. Now, what is important from the exam point of view, apart from this information which is there in front of you, whatever I've just now told you, you have one more thing you need to remember. This Kailasa temple at Ellora was inspired by one temple. And this temple is at Kanchipuram in Tamil Nadu. So please take down that. The inspiration for this temple comes from the Kailasanatha temple. The Kailasanatha temple, yesterday's class, the Kailasanatha temple at Kanchipuram in Tamil Nadu. And who built the Kailasanatha temple? It is Narasimhavarman II. Narasimha Varman II was the one who built the Kailashanatha temple at Kanchipuram. And this Kailashanatha temple became the inspiration for two temples. One temple is, just now we saw, the Kailasa temple at Ellora. Kailasa temple at Ellora, built by Krishna the First. Built by Krishna the First of the Rashtrakutas. So he was the one during whose period this temple was completed. So therefore the credit goes to him. Krishna the First of the Rashtrakutas built the Kailasa temple at Ellora. Number two, which is the second temple which has been inspired by the Kailashanatha temple at Kanchipuram. This is the Lokeshwara temple or the Virupaksha temple. Virupaksha temple, also called Lokeshwara temple, found at Pattadakal. This is in Pattadakal. This was built by Loka Mahadevi. Loka Mahadevi, one of the queens of King Vikramaditya II. Of the Chalukyas of Badami. So he was the second greatest of the Chalukyas, as you know, Chalukyas of Badami. He was a Badami Chalukyan king, Vikramaditya II. And one of his queens, Loka Mahadevi, built this temple. It is also called Lokeshwara temple or Virupaksha temple. It is at Pattadakal. These are the two temples which have been inspired by the Kailashanatha temple at Kanchipuram, built by Narasimhavarman II. There is another Virupaksha temple at Sakshi. There is another Virupaksha temple in Vijayanagara at Hampe. But that was built by Lakkan Dandesha. Understand this. That was built by Lakkan Dandesha, who was a feudatory of King Devaraya II of Vijayanagara. Devaraya II was the greatest of the Sangama kings. So don't get confused with that. We'll come to that later. When I do Vijayanagara, we will talk about it. Did you understand? That was built by Lakkan Dandesha. So don't get confused with that. We come back here. Kailashanatha temple at Kanchipuram, built by Narasimhavarman II. And that temple inspired two temples. One is the Kailasa temple at Ellora, and the other is the Virupaksha temple at Pattadakal, or the Lokeshwara temple at Pattadakal. What you cannot understand, Ankush? Hello, Ankush. What you cannot? Can you be very specific, Ankush? Can't understand that thing. What thing, Ankush? You have to be specific. How Kailasha temple was made. Okay, that's why I'm telling you. You go on YouTube. Okay, go on YouTube and type Kailasha temple at Ellora. You'll get some videos, 10 minutes, 15 minutes videos you get. Entire mountain has been carved from top to down. So there was a mountain. So it was a stone mountain, a hillock, entire hill made of stone that has been carved from top to down into a mountain. They did not construct anything new. Whatever they did not want, they removed that. And the end result is a temple. So it's more about removal than constructing anything new. That removing part you cannot understand. Okay, you take this. Ankush, how do I explain? So imagine this. I'm a sculptor. Okay, this is a stone. This is a stone, right? And I have the image of a particular god or goddess or whatever I want to carve in my mind. So what will I do? Whatever I don't want, I remove that. Keeping the image of that god or goddess in my mind. For example, we have this Arun Yogiraj who sculpted the image of Lord Ram and the idol of Lord Ram, which has been kept in the Ayodhya temple, the newly built Ayodhya temple. So he had the image of how Lord Ram probably would look, the younger version of Lord Ram. So that was in his mind, and accordingly, he sculpted that image, that idol, from a stone. Okay, so that's what it is. Did you understand? Thank God you understood. Yes, that's what it is. You're right. Yeah, it's like designing on a wood to make a beautiful furniture. Yeah, that is right. Okay. So this is the Kailasa temple at Ellora. So please go through it. You go look at the videos. You'll really thank yourself to see those videos, because you're not seeing the temple for real. This is the Kailasa temple at Ellora. Then we have other Rashtrakuta kings like Dhruva, Govinda the third, Indra the third. We'll discuss about them. So they were great warriors, the Rashtrakutas, as I told you. They defeated all the kings of North and Central India. For example, we have Dhruva. So don't worry about his titles. So these are local from local books I've taken, Kannada books. So since I also know how to read and write Kannada, I have taken it from Kannada books. So you might not get all this information in English books. For example, the titles of Dhruva, Dhara Varsha, Sri Vallabha, Kali Vallabha, Narendra Sena, Uttara Pateshwara. But it's not important from the exam point of view. But in the context, I have given it. So don't worry about it. Whether the titles have to be remembered, not at all. Most important king, Amogha Varsha, his title you remember. One or two titles of Amogha Varsha, that becomes important. Otherwise, the titles of these kings are not important. Okay, so here the Kannada inscription. Kannada inscription gives information about his achievements of Dhruva. He defeated the major kings of North as well as South India, like the Gurjara Pratiharas were defeated, the Palas were defeated, the Pallavas were defeated, even the Western Gangas of Talakkad were defeated. So now he conquered North India and South by defeating the Gurjaras, Vatsaraja of the Gurjara Pratiharas, Dharmapala, the Pala ruler, Nandivarman of the Pallavas, Shivamara of the Western Gangas of Talakkad. When he invaded Vengi, yesterday's class, you remember, who established the Eastern Chalukyas of Vengi kingdom? Hello? Students, who established the Eastern Chalukyas of Vengi kingdom? Yesterday's class? Why are you taking so long? Why are you taking so long to answer that question? Am I audible? Yeah. No, Rama, you're wrong. You're wrong. Vikramaditya, no. Eastern Chalukyas of Vengi. Kubja Vishnuvardhana, the cousin brother of Pulakeshi II. He was the one who established the Eastern Chalukyas of Vengi kingdom. And once Pulakeshi was killed in 642 AD, Kubja Vishnuvardhana declared himself independent. Please revise your class. Yeah, Arun, you're right. Kubja Vishnuvardhana. First revision within 24 hours. I'm sure some of you are revising, but within 24 hours, make the first revision. So whatever class you attended, you revise it within 24 hours. Otherwise, you will forget. According to research, we forget about 60%, 40 to 60% of what we have learned within 24 hours. So it's very necessary to revise within 24 hours. Not only history, all other subjects also. Second revision within 3 days. Within 3 days, you revise second time. And third revision within a month, because you will be reading so many things. So within a month, you will do the third revision. So please revise. That's part of your preparation. So when you make the timetable, you give some time for revision. Don't think it's a waste of time. So we'll come back here. So when Dhruva attacked Vengi, the king of Vengi, that time Vishnuvardhana IV, he gave his daughter in marriage to Dhruva. He did not fight with Dhruva. Instead, he gave his daughter Sheela Bhattarike in marriage to Dhruva. Right? And then at Halebid, so we have the Hoysalas. We'll discuss about Hoysalas later. They shifted the capital from Belur to Halebid. And Halebid, there's another name for Halebid. It is called Dwara Samudra. Dwara Samudra is the old name of Halebid. Now it is called Halebid, the second capital of the Hoysalas. Now, how has the name Dwara Samudra come about? We are told that Dhruva, the Rashtrakuta king, built a tank at Halebid that was called Dhruva Samudra. He built a tank or a lake at Halebeedu called Dhruva Samudra, and later it came to be called Dwara Samudra after this particular lake. So Dhruva Samudra became Dwara Samudra, another name for Halebeedu. Clear that? So please leave a mail. Annotated PPTs have not been uploaded. So please write a mail, Meshak, and keep me in CC. You know my mail address, I know. I suppose you know my mail address. Keep me in CC. I will see that it is done as soon as possible. Please do that. vijay.kumar@byju's.com. That's my personal official mail ID. So this is about Dhruva. Then Govinda the third. So Govinda the third, we have the Sanjan copper plate inscription. Sanjan copper plate inscription issued by son Amogavarsha. So son of Govinda the third was Amogavarsha, and Amogavarsha issues an inscription known as the Sanjan copper plate. It is in copper plate, found in near Nasik in Maharashtra. Sanjan copper plate. So from the Sanjan copper plate of Amogavarsha, the son of Govinda the third, we come to know the military achievements of Govinda the third. So he was also a great warrior like Dhruva. Govinda the third, he conquered North India by defeating the Pratyaras again, the Palas, etc. So Pratyaras were defeated, Pala rulers were also defeated. And according to the Sanjan plates, Govinda's horses tasted the icy liquid waters of the Himalayan streams, and his elephants bathed in the holy Ganges. So, so from that we come to know he had conquered North India. Then he also defeated the Western Gangas and the Pandyas. The Pallavan king was also defeated. And the Sinhala king is supposed to have made an idol of Govinda III and submitted before him. So that idol was later installed in one of the temples at Kanchipuram. This is Govinda III. Then we have Amogavarsha the first or Sarva. Amogavarsha is considered to be the greatest of the Rashtrakuta kings. He ruled for 64 years. He is called by various titles Nrupatunga. So remember the titles of Amogavarsha like Nrupatunga. So that is the or he's also called Sarva. So Sarva and Nrupatunga. Remember these two titles. He ruled for 64 years, very long reign, and he was also a great conqueror. But then in one battle he lost the war to one Western Ganga king called Niti Marga Irayanga. So we have the Gangas of Talakad. Gangas of Talakad. Talakad is a place near Mysore, Talakadu as it is called. So these are called the Western Gangas. No, then who are the Eastern Gangas? Eastern Gangas ruled over Orissa. Eastern Gangas ruled over Orissa. Okay, Eastern Gangas, they are called Eastern Gangas. They ruled over Orissa. Western Gangas ruled from Talakad. Right? So we have a Western Ganga king called Niti Marga Irayanga. So Niti Marga Irayanga defeated Amogavarsha. Thereupon, Amogavarsha began to use diplomacy instead of wars to win over his enemies. He had many daughters. Very interestingly, he had many daughters. He gave his daughters in marriage to various kings, the kings of various dynasties. For example, I made a chart for you. You see here on your screen. He had a daughter called Chandra Labbe. So Chandra Labbe was given in marriage to the Western Ganga king Bhutuka. So he had a marriage alliance with Western Gangas. Then he had another daughter, Sheela Mahadevi. So she was given in marriage to the Vengi Chalukyan king Vishnuvardhana. And Shankha, she was given in marriage to the Pallava king Nandivarman III. So he gave his daughters in marriage to various kings of various dynasties, and he, through diplomacy, made friends with them through marriage alliances. Now, Amogavarsha is called the father of Kannada literature. He's called the father of Kannada literature. So he's called the father of Kannada literature. We have a book, father of Kannada literature, right? And we have a book called Kaviraja Marga. Kaviraja Marga. This is the oldest existing book in Kannada. So whatever book exists, which is the oldest, this is the one. This is the oldest extant book, that is existing book in Kannada language. Oldest extant book in Kannada language, in Kannada, that is Kaviraja Marga. Initially, it was thought that Amogavarsha was the author of this book. Historians thought this book was written by Amogavarsha, Kaviraja Marga. But later they have revised this opinion. We have his court poet called Sri Vijaya. Sri Vijaya is considered to be the author of this book now by historians. They have revised that opinion. The capital of Rashtrakutas was Ellora. Initial capital was Ellora. Ellora is in Maharashtra, present-day Maharashtra. From Ellora, it was shifted to Manyakheta by Amogavarsha, Manyakheta or Malkhed. So Malkhed became the capital. It is on the banks of the Kagina River in the Kalaburgi district of Karnataka. So he shifted the capital from Ellora to Manyakheta. And he's also called the Ashoka of Karnataka because of his welfare measures, various welfare measures which he took for the downtrodden poor and the downtrodden sections of his kingdom. Right? So Kaviraja Marga was supposed to be earlier thought to be written by him, but now Sri Vijaya is supposed to be the person who has written this, his court poet. Now, towards the end of his reign, we have his son who rebelled against him. That is Prince Krishna. Prince Krishna rebelled against his father. Thereupon, we have the Senapati of Amogavarsha, the commander-in-chief, by name Bankesha. So, his commander Bankesha defeated the rebellion of Prince Krishna and saw to it that he goes and seeks pardon from his father. So, highly impressed Amogavarsha rewarded Bankesha by founding the city of Bankapura. So he built a town called Bankapura and made Bankesha, his commander, the governor of Banavasi. He became the governor of Banavasi. Amogavarsha was a scholarly king. He wrote Prashnottara Ratnavali or Ratnamala in Sanskrit language. I end this class with a story. Understand this? I end this class with a story. And this is according to the Sanjan plates. Because I'm almost run out of time, but I have enough time to tell the story. Now, we are told by the Sanjan plates. Sanjan plates are found near Nasik in Maharashtra, Thane district, the Sanjan copper plate issued by Amogavarsha himself. We are told that there was a calamity which befell the Rashtrakuta kingdom. Mostly this was a drought. There was no rain for many years, and people of the kingdom were suffering. There's a famous Mahalakshmi temple in Kolhapur. So there's a place called Kolhapur in Maharashtra, and there's a very famous Mahalakshmi temple there. So you can see this is the temple, Mahalakshmi temple at Kolhapur. And this is the idol of goddess Mahalakshmi. So, so here you see, you know the story of Balaji Venkateshwar. So let me tell you the story here. Where Lord Vishnu has two wives. His one is Padmavati, according to mythology, one is Padmavati, and his favorite wife is Lakshmi, Mahalakshmi, the goddess of wealth. Now we are told that one day you have Mahalakshmi and Vishnu. They were in their headquarters. That is Vaikunta. Vaikunta is their headquarters. So I'll do one thing. I think I have run out of time. There's no time to tell the story. I will continue the story tomorrow. Okay, right? So here, I don't know what your query is, Ankush. Right? So I have no time to tell you the story. I'll tell you tomorrow. But anyway, you have Amogavarsha who took a vow before this goddess. He took a vow. What is the vow he took before this goddess? He goes to the temple and takes a vow that if this calamity goes away from the kingdom, he will cut away the thumb of his left hand. He'll cut away the thumb of his left hand. That's a vow taken by Amogavarsha. And this is according to the Sanjan plates. And no sooner did he make this vow, miraculously, within a very short period of time, in a few days, it began to rain heavily and all the problem of the people disappeared. And true to the vow he had taken, he goes there to the temple and cuts away the thumb of his left hand. Right? And later he committed suicide. That is, he committed Parama Yoga. So this is one of the recommended Jain forms of dying. One of the method of Jain form of dying is to fast till a person dies. That is called Sallekhana. That is called Sallekhana. That is voluntarily giving up food until one dies. Some of the kings also, some of the Jain kings also committed, they died by drowning themselves in the river. Later, Amogavarsha jumped into the river Tungabhadra and died that way. That is called Parama Yoga. So he died by drowning in the river Tungabhadra. A foreign traveler, an Arab traveler called Sulaiman, visited the court of Amogavarsha, and Sulaiman tells us that Amogavarsha was one among the four greatest emperors of the world. And he names the other three. Other three are the Emperor of China, the Emperor of Constantinople, and of course the Caliph of Baghdad. So he ranks Amogavarsha as one of the four greatest emperors of the world. So I think I don't have time now. I have this is about Amogavarsha. I'm yet to finish Rashtrakutas. We'll continue the class in the next class. I think probably Monday, a weekday. This is a weekday session, isn't it? So we will have the class from Monday onwards. Um, I'll call it off. I'll call. Yeah, Chandragupta Maurya, he committed Sallekkhana. He did not drown himself in the river. Ankush, he committed Sallekkhana and died at Shravanabalgola. So I end my session today. It's already 8:30. So you have a safe weekend and we'll meet in the next class. Okay, so you have a good night sleep and have a fruitful weekend. So please revise your lessons. You take care and good night. I'm logging out. Any doubts, please mail me. Subject related doubts.